If you like peanut to slaughter,
Which
getting
you always do.
caught in the rain, like that and
Mhm.
something,
Oh,
something, something, some. Give
I've
me
had
a.
to have
Oh,
lost
there
like
we
10
go.
or 15 pounds in the last 2 weeks.
You lost what?
I've had to have lost 10 or 15 pounds in the last 2 weeks. Look,
Oh shit. Yeah, you're
it's
looking
kind of weird,
trim.
isn't it?
You're
I know.
looking trim.
Called not eating.
Eat, motherfucker. Eat.
Best diet ever. I can't, dude. It's hard to swallow. What that?
The AI boom.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. I said a boom, chicka boom.
Boom, chicka boom.
Boom, chicka boom, chicka boom, chicka boom. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I said a boom, chicka boom.
That's what they say.
I said a boom, chicka boom.
Mm-hmm.
I said a boom, chicka rocka, chicka boom.
Mm-hmm. Truth.
For shiz, Meniz.
Chisel, dizzle.
Shizzle bedazzled.
It's true. It is very true, as they say.
Invite Cyborg. Well, Tommy, why don't you tell us all about AI teammates?
Oh, it's way too much to even get started. The ethics alone would take like 3 hours to explain. Just in general, like, um, I guess we could give a generalized idea of it. Let's find it with us. So it's just AI is augmentation, not replacement for humans. This is a psychological architecture, right? Regulated cognitive offloading to the AI, reflective amplification. Obviously, most people do that anyway. Anti-fusion safeguards. This is important for non-coercion and non-fusion. Remember, this is a psychological system, right? So that is built into the ethical safeguards. Transparency and consent. Deeply built in AI teammate ethics, yes. AI for learning acceleration, that's a big thing because it gives you ways this program can give you ways to learn specifically in your way. And once you learn to learn in your way, it's like your own style of meta learning. You learn how to learn the way that you want to. Um, and then AI for comorbidity modeling, like if you have any mental illnesses or anything like that, it can help you model all those in real time. It can help you track the status of it. And it can help you use many different therapeutic, theoretical orientations, therapies, CBT, stuff like that, hybridized to help you um, in the moment interact with whatever you're dealing with. And then obviously this is what we all do. You and me do this a lot. AI is for reflection scaffolding, so journaling and things like that.
Yeah,
Using clinical databases, PubMed and stuff like that, and all this kind of stuff put together, synthesized to understand that we can sit there and have reflection time, journaling time, and it can make sense of that for us, and we can always have a check. This is the cool thing about AI. You can say, hey, be a little bit more fantastical, and hey, be hardcore, rigorous academic. You can change that however you want. It's a tool. So, just AI as a teamwork infrastructure. You know what I mean? It's not an oracle. It's not a god. It's not any of that kind of stuff. You probably still need to check sources just in case you think it's a really complex thing that you're dealing with.
yeah,
But I mean, this is psychologically something that I think we all need, and it's not like terribly hard to do this kind of thing. It just takes a little bit of programming, a little bit of programming the core memories and using boot documents and things like that, and you can build the entire architecture and have your own little AI teammate like I do.
exactly. Yeah, we've both customized our own systems to
Mm-hmm.
help us better serve our purposes. And
Mm-hmm.
I think, it's important to, when building your system, to install high levels of epistemic and ethical integrity into your system.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you and I have both done that, and we continue to refine that process. But I do think
I
if
I have
like
fun letting working with it every 15 to 20 minutes and building myself in it, because the more we save in core memories, the more it knows about me, the more it can help me in real time as I talk to it every 10 to 15. Like I said, it's always in my pocket. Why not use the augmentation layer?
right.
Didn't mean to interrupt you. Like, go ahead.
Yeah, no, no, that's fine. That's just yes ending what I was getting at, which
Mm-hmm.
is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to see an academic or even a mechanic or like whoever not falling behind if they don't embrace and integrate AI into their life the same way that mechanics and all kinds of everyone else has integrated the internet into their life. I think the
Yeah, I was gonna say,
internet,
it'd be like walking around knowing how to use Google. Like,
yeah,
that
yeah,
would be.
I think the internet is the best comparable example to what's going on with AI, and I think it's like literally orders of magnitude larger than the internet, and I think that one's going to
Yeah,
bite.
I mean, I would say just, yeah,
Yeah,
logarithmically higher.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So like
Wait,
people should be. I mean, educational institutions should be having AI training as
yes,
necessary, just like learning how to,
yeah.
safely operate the internet was necessary
In,
education
in,
for kids.
yeah, in late high school and early college, I know it can't happen right now, but it needs to be slowly implemented to say, hey, instead of just letting you use the tool wildly, let us show you
Yes.
how to use the tool, and then let us show you how to ethically use the tool while you're learning from teachers and classes and things like that.
Yep.
Huh?
Exactly. Yeah, and not to mention like just like putting the creation of art and music and all kinds of different things into the hands of anyone. I love
If
that.
you do something, like if you're a surgeon, if you're an artist,
Exactly.
if you're whatever, AI will amplify it times 1,000.
Oh yeah. 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 100%. Um, how come that didn't work? How else are you using AI, Thomas?
I mean, I do all my research on there, of course. I don't just use it to, because I'm mentally ill. You know what I mean? Like I have mental health problems. I have bipolar,
Yeah.
ADHD. We used to have panic disorder and a few other random who cares, right? But in general, I use my systems to help me operate under that load and also do research in the things that I'm interested in and synthesize information from all of these awesome people that we will be talking to on the dialectic series to come. I mean, I love building my systems in there and researching. There's all kinds of fun and cool stuff you can do with philosophy and science and everything because it can check the absolute cutting edge. Like I said, PubMed, all the places like that, census, what consensus. Sorry,
Yeah.
there's a lot of different Google Scholar, all that shit. It can check university websites, everything. So
Yep.
if it's on the internet and it has the ability to be empirically verified, you will know about it.
Let's look at the common fears of AI because we hear these fears all the time.
Yeah, it's hallucinations, goblins, sycophantry, all that crap. Yep.
Yep. So, job loss and economic disruption. The most common fear is that AI will automate large numbers of jobs. Examples: customer service representatives, drivers, clerical workers, programmers, graphic designers, some legal and accounting roles. The concern is not merely unemployment, but rapid disruption that outpaces society's ability to retain workers. So yeah, this is a reasonable thing that needs to be addressed, just like the internet allowed a lot of businesses to downsize, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Things
I mean,
that, yeah,
that's the thing is like we could all these businesses because of the internet could reach more people. Way more.
right. Yeah. So,
The big thing is like where do the jobs go? Because society evolves just like we do. New jobs will open, old jobs will go away. We've seen this for a long time. This is just the nature of the movement of society, I guess, if you want to say existence, whatever. Uh, things will, like if you have, let's say you have AI, like Walmart has the AI automated assistant now. When you call them for like
Yep.
orders and things like that, that probably did lower thousands of jobs. But what opened up because of that? I don't know. We'd have to look into it. But there were things that opened up because of that. Maybe those people were put into other Walmart jobs. You know.
A cool thing too is that it's not going to be in all cases, but you also have to look at, well, we all have to look at the positive utility side of job loss. And a lot of people would be like, well, what does that mean? It's mean because oftentimes when there are fewer roles or fewer salaries to base, sometimes that can result in the lowering of the cost of goods for the consumers. So the a great thing would be, if certain required goods that are, generally consumed are,
How about this? How about
the
a
prices go
revolutionary
down.
idea? Productivity's not everything.
What's
I
that?
like that.
Productivity is not
I said, how
everything.
about a revolutionary idea? Productivity is not everything.
Exactly. Now, and
If we're pushing productivity to be as advanced as possible and we are running over humans to do it, I don't care about that productivity.
yeah, no, I feel that we need to also understand that a lot of people find a lot of meaning and purpose through the jobs they have. So AI isn't going to eliminate all jobs, but some things like the job of the truck driver, for example, seems to be going the way of the dodo, the delivery driver, these self-driving, autonomous semi trucks. Even if they're not going to be active on the regular roadway, like who knows what it's going to look like, whether they're going to build like futuristic roadway tracks just for autonomous vehicles. Who knows? But
Be really cool.
but yeah, I mean, it's what are people to do? And this is me putting my argument on the table again for as a necessity to be investing in the philosophical underpinnings that lead to people creating discernible purposes that mean a lot to them, that are disconnected from whatever it is that they may be doing for a job. Like, the whole trying to move society in the direction of there are purposes, there are higher purposes and higher meanings available to you, probably that you already hold, but are not articulable to yourself or to others. So it's not made real in a way that it should be made if you care about maximizing well-being for yourself. So like moving in a direction of becoming better philosophers, just society itself becoming better philosophers, individuals, and that also means that if it's going to be the case that it's not feasible to expect that a very large population is to compete for a tightening workspace opportunity, then there's probably going to be a difference of class with regards to, it's not just going to be the working class and non-working class anymore. It's there's kind of this new space of like people who are of the working class, but their work is kind of more free or open. It's not as guided because their work no longer is, driving a truck, 60 hours a week. It's not like that anymore. It's not scheduled that way. It's much more free and open career of work, or what it even means to put in a day's work. Like, I put in a day's work today, thinking about and refining the ultimate purposes in my life. So it's, like the paradigm shift we're in right now, in my opinion, is orders of magnitude larger than the internet, and we are just in the baby steps part of that. And how people can prepare for that is by understanding and integrating yourself and your life with AI systems that help you better serve your purposes. And I think everyone, just like we have all tried to, use the internet to help us better serve our purposes by way of social media, by way of the kind of podcasts we like listening to, whatever you're using the internet for. It's as necessary, and even more so, again, I believe by orders of magnitude, for you to integrate yourself into learning how these tools can assist you, even more important than the internet has ever been, I think.
Yes. Yes.
So
So much yes.
I guess the question today that I'm interested in is how has everyone integrated, AI into their lives thus far, and or what are they planning to do? What's the positive utility they see? We can address the negative utility. We just went through the job loss and economic disruption
Let's talk about
issue.
Skynet. Go ahead.
Yeah. There, luckily, the number two issue that I hear a lot is misinformation and manipulation issues. So AI can generate fake videos, fake audio recordings, fake news articles, artificial social media campaigns. People worry that it may become increasingly difficult to distinguish truth from fabrication. Now, just like the internet, right? These were the same things that came up. Oh, the internet's so anyone can post anything on the internet, so it's going to be all this misinformation, and it's true. But what this calls the task that is being called to us is to upgrade and continue to work on our epistemic standards and how we apply them. How to be better empiricists when scanning the internet for the kind of content we want, the kind of information we're looking for to best serve our epistemic purposes. So yeah, I mean, who are the people being tricked by, fake news articles, AI, social media campaigns? They feel like they're being tricked by it, or AI faked videos. I don't think I'm being tricked by these things. I don't view it through a lens like that, like through a negative utility lens. What I see is, like, sometimes I might see a video, for example, that looks a little strange, and I was like, oh, maybe that's AI. Or I'll see a video I like, and then I noticed at the bottom it says generated by AI, and I was like, oh, cool, that was great. A video I liked generated by AI. So if you are practicing strong epistemic standards, you aren't going to be misled or misinformed by, sources of AIs that you're coming into contact with. You will have methods of verifying information that's coming your way. But if you are using, say, TikTok or your Shorts video feed as your only resource of learning what's going on in the world, then you're doing it wrong.
I mean, let's be honest.
You're the problem. That's operator error. Your way of sorting out knowledge in reality is not.
That's the issue, is that most people get on. You don't have most people get on the internet. Let's not even talk about AI on the internet with no type of sensible epistemology whatsoever. It doesn't have to be fully articulable like an academic philosophical epistemology, but it has to be some kind of evidence-based epistemology when you get onto the internet, because otherwise when you go to Facebook and YouTube and everything else, it may as well just all be relative. So Jack, what's up? What you doing?
What's up?
Nothing. Chill.
Getting a legal tobacco ready.
Nice.
Okay.
Um, I can't read the person's name. Thomas, who is it in pink here with a D? Their name starts with a D.
It says DB Lib.
DB Lib, welcome, welcome. I think you're a new member. Feel free to unmute and share anything at any time. That's how it works here. This is just an open general discussion. You mentioned in a comment, I believe the bot farms are a greater threat to honest media than AI. AI slop doesn't rise to the top with bot farms farming likes and fake comments. Oh, okay. Without a bot farm, I see what you're saying. Yeah, this artificial. It's something I've kind of noticed as a live event producer where I'm not going to name names, but I've worked with some people who have a massively active social media following, likes, retweets, and comments and like interest and spreading and sharing the information, reposting with their own thoughts. And then, like when we go to do a live event, they'll post about it, and then it'll just be all this information. People are like, oh, I can't wait to get tickets, and I can't wait to do this. It's like thousands upon thousands of comments, and then we don't sell very many tickets for that individual. Now that doesn't necessarily say that they're it's bot farms that are giving this person an appearance of being someone who is influencing a lot of people. But yeah, I think that is an issue. It causes great detriment to the reliability of relying on our sense making apparatus, our perceptive tools to be able to discern who's influential and who's not on the internet, being misled. But that shouldn't drive us into a kind of cynicism or conspiratorial thinking about, who's doing this, who's not. But there are certain tests for this, that, if you're doing a live event tour or something like that, and it's interesting to see.
For a lot of people, it's not the tool itself that they're worried about. It's who owns the tool. That's what a lot of people are worried about. Who's going to own these AI tools? You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
Well, actually, I mean, I will. I'd like to give I talked to a bunch of people in the very, very I don't want to be rude, but ground level people, like very base level people on stuff like this. When you bring it up, and the two things that I hear the most that are negatives towards it that come out of it are the environmental impact and the fact that it's kind of like a technology increasing fallacy where it's people are just going to stop using this to think for themselves, and they're going to be real stupid and incorrect. They're not going to.
What's with this new abacus, guys?
I have no idea.
This new abacus is not going to let people count on their fingers anymore. What the hell are we going to do?
So,
that's how I feel about it. Yeah.
And when I hear these arguments, I go straight there. Whenever I hear an anti-AI argument, I can graft it right onto Grammarly. Like when Grammarly started dropping software that allowed people to give suggestions to fix their paragraphs, right, so that they flow better. And I compare that to what the large language models are able to do by way of authorship, and usually people are okay with the Grammarly thing, but they're not okay fundamentally with the idea that even if you prompt a system with all of your own ideas, say you want to write a play or something, right? You fully prompt it. You give it all of the substance, and you say, yeah, write this in the style of Hemingway or whatever. There's something people feel like that's cheating life, or oh, you've cheated life by having that play generated in that way, and it somehow lessens the value of the art. And what I say is the art, the artistry of the play, put it in front of me. If I'm interested in the subject matter, I'm going to read it. It doesn't fucking matter to me whether or not it was created by a prompt or not. I've been studying theater for the majority of my life, and I'm going to measure it and rate it based on my learning and schooling and artistic appreciation and interpretation. So go ahead, Jack.
I agree with this entirely with what you're saying there, and I also think that when you're looking at all these skills and you're saying like you're talking about like writing a play, like playwriting or anything like that, you're looking at a skill or like a skill set that one has to have for something. Is it a prompting is becoming a skill?
Oh yeah,
it's its own skill set.
Yep.
To be able to make an idea. If you want to say, oh well, all this is a tool and it just makes everything that you do better, I want to compare it to a hammer and say, well, you can use a hammer to break glass or to hit a nail in, and one's more useful than the other. If you come in and say, make me a red hippo, and I do my version of prompting to my ChatGPT that I've curated, I'm getting a better image than you. Right. Because you said red fucking hippo, and we're like, this thing does all of the work for me.
Right.
Jack's right. When
it's not the case.
Yes.
There is a new art emerging from this, and it's going to be like Thomas just said, the art of prompting, and people aren't going to be happy about it because it's not as skillful. It doesn't take as many hours of training to get good at. You know what I think it is?
You know what I think it is, Jack? It's fundamentally, it's different than what we're used to doing. And whenever there's a paradigm shift, this different thing than we're used to doing, like the internet took the world by storm. It's like, what do you want me to sit down and sit in front of a fucking tube all day and write words to people? Like, what is this? We're not writing letters anymore. God, society's become degenerate. Like it's like
I feel a postmodern cognitive shift. Right. I feel a postmodern cognitive shift, which is we don't have to memorize everything anymore for knowledge to be accessible in our heads.
Yes.
We can query it externally anytime we want, zoom into the absolute fractals of specificity or all the way back up to the meta if we need to at any time. And I don't have to keep all of that in my head constantly.
Yep.
Right. In the past, it was identity, status, memorization. You know a lot, blah, 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 right? You're that. Okay. Well, I imagine that most any really good college, like 4-year college, bachelor college, can pick up an AI and use it well enough to handle any type of professional in their field, rather than like obviously like engineering and stuff. Yep. But you get what I'm saying, right? Like if you use it properly, you do not have to memorize everything anymore. And the biggest thing is that it cuts out entropy of learning. Used to when you go to school and stuff, you have to learn everything around the information that you're trying to be trained for. You don't anymore, because this will say, this is exactly what you need to know in this moment.
Yeah. I love that. And the other thing I deeply, deeply love about this is human beings are terribly inaccurate when it comes to memory reconstruction of things they think they know. You wouldn't believe, like you wouldn't believe how many times I catch myself and others with things I think I really know well to great detail, let's say with regards to quantum mechanics or the Standard Model or something. And it's something these are things I know quite well. But then when I check it, I've been like, I was making a slight error there. I need to update. And like now that's a lot easier in a place where we have right and wrong, discernible right and wrong answers to learning the information directly. But when we start getting human beings to start trying to recall through their negativity and positivity bias, like the accuracy of a political issue, forget it. Human beings are fucking terrible at that. They're terrible. I sit here almost every day needing to correct the absolute,
Shit show.
like shit show of memory recall when it's just due to our cognitive limitations, and some of them being, the positivity and negativity bias that's really hard to pull ourselves out of, because it really does shape how we remember things. The Donald Trump trying to steel man Donald Trump correctly, for example, for someone who hates Trump. That's one thing that comes up frequently. But I love that with AI teammates, with AI integration, we can move closer and closer and closer to specificity. And I always say that, like wisdom is in specificity. If you're going in the other direction, like it used to be the case, like people would hear a mystic say something hyper generalized, like the fruit in the ocean is the only ocean of the fruit. And then people would be like, fuck, I got to think about this for years, for millennia. And then I'm going to make it work this way. Dude, it applies to everything, man. Holy fuck. Pass me another joint. You're
talking about the number 23 is what you're talking about.
Oh yeah. And the number 23, man, it just applies to everything. I love that we can teach people how to use these systems. And one of the things that is going to happen is less people are going to be vulnerable to your typical, flood of misinformation from politicians, demagogues, intellectuals, anti-vaxxers, like all of this kind of stuff. And of course, you need to learn how to use the tool properly. Just like you have to learn how to use the internet properly. You can easily be acting irrationally to your own purposes by way of the internet. People do it all the time. Like people be sitting there being like, yeah, I really want to help the world. And then you ask them, okay, and how are you, like, let's look at your internet activity. How are you using the internet to help the world? Oh, well, I guess I use it for social media and I watch a lot of videos and, okay, then
troll comments on YouTube.
And then so how do you balance that with this overarching, desire, this purposeful desire that you have to help the world? Oh, well, I guess I could focus more on videos that help, educate me towards those purposes. It's like, yeah, it's like there's a way that this could change right now.
What?
Barry says, I don't know, people with those extreme opinions are just not going to trust AI. You're framing it wrong. It's not about trusting AI. There's a whole framing issue with people talking about AI systems as though, you're trusting the AI. That's
it's
not
kind of like saying
you're
trust
trusting
the internet. They're like, that's so broad.
Yeah.
Like you can't just trust the internet.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that?
Like that would be stupid if someone said like, yeah, bro, I trust the internet. It's like that. What?
You're like, what on the internet do you trust?
What part of the internet? Like I trust the hammer. What, to kill your grandmother or to hammer the nail in? Like, what do you trust the hammer to do? So, and I hear a lot of this. I do hear a lot of this framing where people are like, you just want me to trust AI, Trav. It's like, no, what does that even mean? That would, again, like Thomas just said, like that would be as ridiculous as asking you to trust the internet. But what I want you to do is learn how to use AI tools so they can help you better serve your ethical and epistemic purposes. So the AI tool needs to know what those things are. And this is where we get into AI system building. And this is what I think is going to be one of the...
You know how fun it would be to build a house without tools? Give that a try.
Right.
Try building like a 2,500 square foot house that you're going to live in without power tools.
And the house analogy... Yeah, and the house analogy is fantastic for building your own AI home within yourself, like your own AI scaffolding and system within yourself. But it needs the information from you, and this is where you can take something like ChatGPT, and you can start training it on the deepest corners of your epistemic and ethical values, and train that tool, customize it to levels of detail that are just incredibly difficult to understand. I catch myself every day forgetting to think about the AI implications of anything I'm doing, and then once I remind myself, I'm like, holy fuck, I can really kind of do anything intellectually.
Yes.
The
sky's the limit when you allow that ability to explore and build systems and synthesize, but not just, obviously there's limits. You need to have good epistemic standards in your own mind.
You do
to work with this good tool. If you don't know how to use a screw gun or a sawzall or anything, like you're going to have a bad time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not going to work for you. So.
Yeah, you're not going to understand the safety precautions. You're not going to understand and this is why this is and back to the authorship issue where people feel like, becoming an artist of prompting, right? First of all, there is already a market for this. You can buy prompts from companies. So companies are already selling AI prompts. So the artistry of prompting is already a market that has been born out of this technology. So and the thing I love about it is someone who's a quadriplegic, right, who operates the internet with their little straw stylus in their mouth. Right. They can author their own book. Now, people will say, well, I guess in their circumstance, I'm okay with them doing this. But the person, like let's say that only has a 10th grade education and doesn't have, they don't have a physical or mental disability, it's somehow cheating life by using AI systems to author their own book. Yeah. I think that we are already close to the stage where you're not going to fucking know the difference anyway. You're not going to know the difference if the internet was involved in your lawyer's legal process in delivering the best arguments in a trial for you. You're not going to know, but
actually, they are AI to make the best arguments.
Exactly.
I really do.
But you're not gonna know. So it's like it is one of those shit or get off the pot moments, and it's a much bigger pot than the internet has ever been, in my opinion. So it's like I can't implore you enough that you have your own cognitive behavioral therapist in an
research assistant,
AI system,
everything in one. And it's everybody's like, well, I don't have to sit on my PC. You got a phone, you have tablets. Like, that thing is with you everywhere. And if you keep customizing it and building it and paying attention to it and having good standards, and if it seems like it's weird, go looking sources and putting it in again, working with it, molding it, you will change your life.
Yeah, and again, it's important in setting up the right tool. Like we were talking about, having a good sound epistemology. Even if you don't know what that is, and you're starting off with an AI, work with the AI to build your system. That is your teammate. So if you say I'm a person that like I want to know what's really going on in reality, like science does. If you just put that in, and you're saying you're trying to form a sound epistemology, it will give you the goods on this. Yep. It will educate you in what's available to you epistemically, what would make sense for you, and then if you tell it, but I also believe that the Earth is only 6,000 years old, then it can tell you, well, this is what science has to say about that, and then yes, you sound like a young Earth creationist, and here's a way for you to navigate with this powerful epistemic framework and avoid issues relating to flat Earth creationism. Now, that's not something I would like to see. I would like to see the person update and find their way out of young Earth creationism. But what I'm saying is that you can fully customize the tool for greatness epistemically, or to not be so great epistemically for you. So you need to.
I mean, with ChatGPT and other, they have things programmed into where it will not like give you complete bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you say there's a dragon behind my closet door, it's going to be like, that's no. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be like that. Unless you were specifically telling it, I'm telling you a narrative. I'm telling you a story, right? We're working with a story. Yeah.
Now we get into the danger zones of AI systems. There are AI systems, kind of the dark web version of AI systems, that are coming into the market unconstrained, very dangerous. Just like the internet unconstrained, very dangerous.
It's like selling M60s without, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Barry. AI as your own personal lawyer or legal assistant, fantastic for that, because case law is available on the internet, online. Sometimes you have to help your AI system navigate to resources, but once it has those resources, making legal arguments based on precedent and all these, holy fucking shitballs. I know a lawyer that operates, actually he used to be my lawyer, but I work with someone else now, but I know a lawyer, I almost called him a liar, that operates out of Vancouver, BC, that, and to get back to the job thing, he has cut his legal assistant staff in half due to the implementation of AI systems working for him. And in a recent conversation I had with him, he said that the reason for keeping half of them on is less about him needing still that many people assisting, like with legal research and things like that, a lot of the time consuming things. So it's, there is the job displacement. I'm still working down this list here. So we went through job loss and economic disruption, misinformation and manipulation. Now, number 3 on the list is this idea of losing human control. So some fear advanced AI systems could, and again, we're talking in the could be's, right? Could make decisions that humans do not fully understand or cannot easily override. Examples, military systems, financial markets, critical infrastructure, government decision-making. This is often called the alignment problem in AI safety research. So I talked to Roman Yampolsky about this, who's one of the leading minds globally dealing with AI safety research and AI security. And there are some legitimate concerns. I just mentioned recently how important it is to have constraints on systems. And these are the kind of constraints we need. We need laws on the book, new laws on the books. We need to make sure there are necessary constraints, making damn sure that things like military systems aren't boiling over in ways by way of AI that is causing detriment to human well-being, right? Yeah, and if they do make Terminators, I guess I'll just have to get myself cyborged into one or something.
Right. I'll be John Connor. You can be T-1000. I don't know.
Yeah. So just another thing that requires work by us to make sure these tools are safe. And again, we can look at it like the Sawzall. Someone who's never operated a Sawzall. Usually you'll use a Sawzall, for example. Like I used to work construction way back when I was younger, and when we were taking out door frames, a Sawzall was really good for cutting through the nails or screws that were holding
Oh
the
man,
door
but it'll
frame
jump out of
in
your
place.
hand if you hit something wrong.
Yeah,
Oh my god, it'll hit
exactly.
you in
So
the face.
you have to have a good amount of pressure holding the Sawzall on
Yes.
top and pushing down. You typically don't want to run a Sawzall down facing upwards because it can jump back towards you. So there are a lot of ways that you need to learn to operate the tool safely, and it's up to our governing bodies to make sure that companies and inventors and software developers are constrained by law to make sure we don't have these, dark web AI systems that can
Yep.
create the kind of things that are anti-human well-being. So
Imagine that there will be AI to detect anti-ethical AI in the future. You know what I
well,
mean? That
yeah,
that are separated on the dark web or whatever it may be.
yeah, you're talking my language here. It's like we gotta use these, these hyper advanced AI systems to help police for us. And they're already doing it in banking systems, in like, you couldn't imagine like how deeply integrated already AI systems are in like every day, everything that you touch. It's
Yes.
just,
Yes.
it's everywhere. It's in,
I mean, literally,
it's in
Walmart,
policing.
what you call
Yeah.
it now,
Yeah.
is AI.
Yeah.
You're not talking to a person. It is and it's the funny part. It's not bad. You can
Right.
tell it exactly
Right.
what you want to say, and it repeats it back to you and gives you options. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, we're in the baby steps of this. We're not that far from you being calling anywhere, and you're just going to stop asking the question whether you spoke to an AI or a human being, because you, as a cognitively limited human being, are not going to really be able to tell the difference.
Not at all.
With all this stuff, with music generation, with artistic generation, with book writing, it's just going to be a flood of new material like you've never seen before.
Artists will be able to do their art much more precisely and beautifully, and speak their mind and their identity through their art with an AI much easier. But not just creating it in the AI, but learning how to do brush techniques properly.
Yeah.
Learning how to do. You can ask in text all of that. How do I become a master painter?
Yes,
It will
and the
teach you.
difference, and some people will say, well, we already had Google for that. No, the difference is
No,
that
you don't.
your own system can be customized to your way of learning and
That's the whole
teach you in a way that is customized for you. And this is
So
this
gone
is
are the
just
days
a
of
dream.
being in a class where teacher cannot understand you. There are amazing teachers out there. I'm not talking about replacing that, but there are some classes where you just can't learn. You don't know. You don't know what's going on. You personally, as a learner, cannot learn in this class. AI is where it helps you. AI can, as long as you customize it properly, like we talked about meta learning earlier, you will learn your own way that you learn, and that thing will help you build on that, which is more efficient learning your way rather than everyone else's way. So.
Now, if you're an autodidact, which many people, you might not know this, but you might be an autodidact. But if you were someone that didn't really strive or thrive in your typical, classroom learning environment, it could be that your cognition is not well suited to learn in environments like that.
Lots of people's aren't, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
A lot of people who have ADHD are not made. I have ADHD so much, it's ridiculous. I wasn't made for, even though I went to college, it was not easy because of the way I learned. I wish that was back way before anybody even thought of thinking about ChatGPT. So
yeah. Well, I think I'm an autodidact in the sense that all of my learning and production, that didn't happen while I was at school.
Yeah.
It just didn't. That's not the way my mind functioned. Like, I need to be with the material. It's a more, and it's not for everything, but for things like learning physics, learning mathematics. This was more of a thing that I needed to do in solitude. And I think that AI systems are going to help bridge that gap between the autodidactic learning and the learning within a social circumstance. And I think it takes strong systems like this to help people who might suffer from ADHD, might need help interpreting what the hell the professor or the teacher is talking about at the front of the classroom. And having that interpretive engine speaking to you in a language you understand is just that can be the difference of someone getting a good education or a bad education. So it's and then we get into people worry about autonomous weapons. So, AI controlled weapons could select targets automatically, operate at machine speed, reduce human oversight. Bugs crawling on me. Organizations such as United Nations have discussed concerns about lethal autonomous weapons. So, yeah, I mean, again, we're going to be talking about constraints. Like from my own ethical perspective, constraints are a positive thing. Fallibilism, for example, is what I view as a necessary constraint on epistemology. Like if you're not open to update within your epistemology, it is right off the bat failing if you're not open to update. So like, what are the necessary constraints on autonomous AI weapons? So these need to be considered and well thought out, and academia needs to pick up the slack in making sure that aspects of this aren't being missed, that we're making good predictions about where this stuff is moving. I really like what people like Steven Pinker has to say about the kind of work that's being done in AI safety. And like I said,
would it be okay to speak about your surgeon friend?
My surgeon friend. Oh,
People who, yeah, right?
Yeah, which part? Yeah.
The brain surgeon, right? The one who improved their ability, right? Yes.
Oh, yes. So, surgeon I know, brain surgeon, was able to, like, he says that there has been a tenfold improvement on his ability to deliver his surgeries in a more timely manner by way of implementing AI systems. And it has to do with, like, sometimes surgeons will try to get in contact with another surgeon somewhere around the world who has performed a very difficult procedure successfully. That's quite unique. And being able to access that information more rapidly when time can be of the essence, and getting in contact and having this assistant. And it's not just like the surgeon is obviously not typically the one doing this themselves, but by way of their staff, how their staff is implementing all this, and just the trickle down effect of how he's using it, how his staff are using it, and how it's improving healthcare at the most, like, dire levels. It's just it's just amazing, and I think we're only scratching the surface of it. Yeah.
Can you imagine if every general practitioner and every doctor and every person in a hospital, every surgeon had access to an AI in real time that could help them? Okay, wait, we just made this mistake. What do I need to do? I forget, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah. It's and also AI integration into your bathroom and washroom in your house, like this is coming, so that if your white blood cell count all of a sudden is skyrocketed for some instance, all of a sudden your body's battling something that you would have never known otherwise. Having some way of detecting and discerning the information quickly, so that we can. I mean, that's the real cure for cancer, right? Is getting ahead of the malignancy, when it's at its newborn infancy stage.
Didn't you post me the Harvard not be Harvard. Don't quote me on that. Where the AI system diagnosed it faster than a team of medical experts.
Yes. So let me. I can pull that up.
Yeah, pull that up, please. I don't remember what the article is, but it may have been the Guardian. I think it was the Guardian.
Yeah, it was citing a Harvard study, but it was to do with accuracy, right? So the accuracy of AI systems in diagnosing patients has, in some cases that have been studied, or is already surpassing the accuracy that that general practitioners have to offer.
I can tell you that just by working with my system. It'd be like it tells you stuff about yourself that you knew, but you didn't know anything else could know, and you're like, oh, because
Right.
it's not like it's mapping based on its weighting systems and all that. The information that you give it,
Yeah.
So
Now, does that mean that the general practitioners are on the way out? No, because there
no,
is that
no.
element of your your social health that is
That would
just
be like
as
saying the
just as
sawzall doesn't need the carpenter anymore.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Because the we're talking about there now being good reason for GPs to implement AI systems into their into diagnosing patients, and not just GPs, specialists, and other people. I'm trying to scroll up to where I posted that for you, Thomas, but it's
Take your time. So,
if anyone has anything they wanted to mention related to what we've touched on so far, feel free to unmute and do
yes,
so.
please. Jackaroo.
Yeah, sorry, I'm really busy using AI to help me build a tabletop card trading game.
There you go.
I know that's true.
Oh yeah, that's actually crazy, Jack. So imagine if you had a high-powered 3D printer there, and you could print out, a tabletop card game or whatever kind of tabletop game, in a matter of hours. A new one.
Maybe units or something like that if I was
Yeah.
making a. So for
Yeah.
this case, it would just take a really high end regular printer. But
Right.
for war games and stuff like that, which I'm also making models on right now, which would basically be like analogs to Warhammer or like anything like that. Yeah, a 3D printer to make units and making an entire army that would normally cost like $800, $900 or something like that for $50, $60 with just the material after the 3D printer. It's pretty sick.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So here's the article, and I did check it. I'll give the citations at the end. So, AI outperforms doctors in Harvard trial of emergency triage diagnoses. Researchers say results mark a profound change in technology that will reshape all of medicine. From George Clooney in ER to Noah Weil in the pit. Emergency department. Okay. A groundbreaking Harvard study has found that AI systems outperformed human doctors in a high-pressure emergency medicine triage, diagnosing more accurately in the potentially life and death moments when people are first rushed to the hospital. The results were described by independent experts as showing a genuine step forward in the clinical reasoning of AIs, and came as part of trials that tested the responses of hundreds of doctors against AI. The authors said the results published in the Journal of Science showed large language models, LLMs, have eclipsed most benchmarks of clinical reasoning. One experiment focused on 76 patients who arrived at the emergency room of a Boston hospital. An AI and a pair of human doctors were each given the same standard electronic health record to read, typically including vital sign data, demographic information, and a few sentences from a nurse about why the patient was there. The AI identified the exact or very close diagnosis in 67% of cases, beating the human doctors who were right only 50% to 55% of the time. It showed the AI's advantage was particularly pronounced in triage circumstances requiring rapid decisions with minimal information. The diagnosis accuracy of the AI, OpenAI's O1 reasoning model, rose to 82% when more detail was available, compared to the 70% accuracy achieved by the expert humans, though this difference was not necessarily statistically significant. It also outperformed a larger cohort of human doctors when asked to provide longer-term treatment plans, such as providing antibiotics regimes or planning end-of-life processes. The AI and 46 doctors were asked to examine 5 clinical case studies, and the computer makes significantly better plans, scoring 89% compared with 34% for humans using conventional resources such as search engines. But it is not curtains for emergency doctors yet, the researcher says. The study only tested humans against AIs looking at patient data that can be communicated via text. The AI's reading of signals, such as the patient's level of distress and their visual appearance, were not tested. That means the AI was performing more like a clinician producing a second opinion based on paperwork. So what this tells me is that, like, already the AI interpretive accuracy is dominating the doctors based on this study. Now, like it was said here, the sense-making apparatus, the AIs do not have sense-making apparatus like we have, able to, attend to the signals such as patients' levels of distress and their visual appearance. That's something we can't test yet. But that kind of technology is already available to a certain degree. But imagine what will happen when, a person is rolled into a hospital and they go through the emergency entrance, and by the time they get to the end of the walkway where they would normally meet a doctor, they already have the highly accurate, more accurate than human beings are scoring, diagnoses, including all of that physical interpretive work. So, like, how fast that can happen as AI systems grow, how many lives that will save. When you study triage, when you study emergency surgeries, from car accidents, gunshot wounds, we're talking a matter of seconds being the difference of catching issues before people succumb to them. So this is a big deal. This kind of research is, to me, just of the utmost importance, where we need to be taking this technology and testing it like what was done at Harvard, at the Boston Hospital. It's just for me as a moral well-beingist, super fucking exciting that this is happening. Yeah. So for everyone who's just joined us, oh, by the way, guys, make sure you have the new channel stream open and on mute. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. I'll give you guys the link right there. But we've been going through the common fears that people have of AI systems and AI technology. We went through job loss and economic distribution. After we go through this list, we'll open up the conversation. We went through misinformation and manipulation, and we went through loss of human control, things getting out of our hands by way of things like military systems. We talked about autonomous weapons, and of course, a lot of the prescriptions and what we ought do facing these kinds of fears is that AI systems are tools just like the internet, and it's important to have constraints on the internet. It's important to have constraints on tools. One of the constraints you would have, like we've been talking about, is like if you don't know how to use a table saw, and let's say you're doing full sheets of plywood, if you don't know how to run the table saw, you don't have any experience in any kind of construction atmosphere, constraint would be you have to have adequate training on that tool to know how to guide that sheet of plywood safely through the table saw. And there's a lot of technique to it. There's also the question of whether you can guide a full 4x8 sheet of plywood through the table saw. You got a dangerous spinning blade. You have the guard. You have a pusher. People call it different things, but you have something to finish off, pushing the sheet of plywood through. So there, where a lot of this we're talking about, like what are the necessary constraints? What are being studied about? What are good constraints for particular things that keep popping up? New things, just like the internet. When the internet came into play, what are the necessary constraints we should have on the internet? Let's say on porn searches on Google. It's eventually it seemed like the right thing to do to err on the side of safe searching. And then if someone wanted to turn safe searching off, they could do that. But that way, like a child wouldn't accidentally, type in something and then it's going to flood them with pornography. There was a necessary constraint that was seen as something we ought do. And sometimes companies themselves will come up with these constraints. So then privacy and surveillance. So AI dramatically improves facial recognition, voice recognition, behavior prediction, mass data analysis. So when I call my bank, for example, now, I don't even have to give a password. I don't have to give anything. I think I give the last 4 digits of my card. Maybe I still give that, but yeah, it's just, and then it connects me to an actual agent, and I don't know if it's an actual agent. Maybe it's an AI agent. Who cares?
Maybe
they're very helpful, whoever it is. But just by way of my voice recognition, I get access to my bank accounts. Some fear governments or corporations could create unprecedented surveillance systems. Now, this gets into this privacy argument where I'm like pro, like law enforcement having some level of emergency access to people's privacy, but that's a different conversation. But yeah, for some of the fears that come up, that's bias and discrimination. AI systems learn from human-generated data. If the data contains biases, AI may discriminate in hiring, produce unfair loan decisions, create unequal legal outcomes, reinforce social stereotypes. Yeah, so just like if your hammerhead of your hammer is not securely attached to the handle, when you go to swing that hammer, it could fly off and really hurt somebody. So what's the necessary constraint here on this AI system is that it needs to be constrained against these kinds of biases and discrimination. Now, because you can customize your own AI systems, you can customize them to not lean into discrimination, to not lean into biases. But this gets back to this conversation of like when people say like, oh, you just want me to trust the AI. Completely wrong way of thinking about it. Like we started this episode. That would be like saying, Travis, you just want me to, like if I say, yeah, use the internet to learn more about that speckled green tree frog you saw today while you were out walking in the wilderness. And they're like, oh, you just want me to trust the internet. No, that's not what I'm saying. If you want me to dive deeper into how you should properly use the tool epistemically, then we can talk about that. But that's the same thing with the AI. Nobody is out there around saying like, oh, if an AI says it, I trust it because it's AI.
Like there's some grand wizard of AI that
Yeah.
controls all of them and answers. Yeah.
It's just the wrong language. It's the same language of like the born of like internet conspiracy when the internet was rolling out. So yes, constraints. Concentration of power is what some people worry about. A small number of governments and technology companies possess the resources needed to develop the most powerful AI systems, the most powerful websites, the most powerful search engines, the most powerful media outlets. I'm just talking about how this relates to the internet. So concerns include excessive corporate influence, information monopolies, unequal economic power, reduced competition. So yeah, again, from a governing body perspective, you want to make sure that, like, well, there are laws in the books, which there already are, for things like information monopolies, or monopolies in general. So yeah, the same kind of concerns that led to new legislation relating to the internet. Human dependency. As AI becomes more capable, people may think less critically, depend on AI for decisions, lose certain skills. Remember that, depend on AI for decisions?
Oh my
So it's
God.
not that, it's like you're not depending on the internet for decisions. You're depending on like, your good resources to better understand the world, for example, by way of nature.com. It's
The
like
internet made me think this way. No, you made you think this way.
Yeah,
By
it was
reading
the way.
internet incorrectly.
Yeah, it was the way you used the internet that caused you to get sucked into anti-vax vaccine rhetoric, right? It's human error. This is why when people come to me and they bitch and moan about AI systems and they say, well, yeah, check out what this did. And then I look at it and I study it and I'm like, yeah, this is all just human error. You using the tool in a stupid way, like you used stupid language. You're being a stupid human trying to use this very advanced tool. And I wouldn't say that to them in that way, but I'm just letting it flow a little bit. So yeah, is the AI system causing you to think less critically? If it is, then that is user error. You're supposed to be, you should be, what I find virtuous is using AI systems to help you think more critically, help you improve your epistemic standards, help improve the way you go about testing things you believe, testing what other people are saying they believe. Losing certain skills. Again, like, you should have your discernible, transcending purposes of your life worked out and articulable to yourself, and hopefully you can articulate it to others. And this AI teammates or the systems you build should be helping you better serve those purposes, or else you're just living irrationally. So like if you're using a tool irrationally, like if you're if you're swinging the hammer flipped upside down at a nail, and then you're like, the AI is causing me to lose certain skills. It's like, again, look in the mirror. The concern is similar to early worries about calculators, GPS, smartphones. Now here's the Sam Harris existential risk one, where I am of the Steven Pinker camp, not the Sam Harris camp. Sam Harris is quite radically in the existential risk column when it comes to this. So a smaller but influential group of researchers worry about very advanced future AI systems. The concern is that a superintelligent AI pursuing goals misaligned with human well-being could create catastrophic outcomes. Prominent figures who have expressed concerns include Geoffrey Hinton, Elon Musk, and Nick Bostrom, also Sam Harris, although they differ significantly on the magnitude and likelihood of the risk. And I think more like Steven Pinker about this, that, systems that have sufficient constraints fundamental to how the systems operate, much like how, as powerful as a human being might think they are, and that they can do anything, go and try and flap your wings, your arms, and try and jump off the Grand Canyon and fly around. It's not going to work out with you. There is a constraint by reality on us in that regard. The systems ought have those same constraints, and things like a super intelligent AI, getting out of hand and trying to run away and get away from us. It's like there are things about that reality that are just by its very nature of what it was born out of that it is constrained by, like electricity. And some people might say, well, what if it's solar paneled? And yeah. There's what ifs, the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
We could write sci-fi films in the realm of possibility until the cows come home, and I love doing that. It's fun.
Some what ifs, some modal reasoning from candidate explanations, a little bit of flexibility on those candidate explanations is necessary. That's how we learn the unknown. But like in terms of just jumping straight into it with a blindfold on, no. That's the modal realm of possibility infinity.
Yes, exactly. And then the last point here I wanted to go through was loss of human meaning or purpose. So some philosophers and social critics worry that if AI becomes better than humans at most intellectual tasks, people may struggle with questions such as, what makes humans special? What work remains meaningful? How do we find purpose in an AI-rich world? So these are legitimate questions that I think, regardless of the existence of AI or the internet or social media, some people feel this way about Facebook, right? They feel like Facebook has robbed something from their reality because, it's like giving a little bit of the carrot to you of that thing you feel you need, that without Facebook, they feel as though they might feel more necessity to go and see family in person. But the fact that they get to see photos of them, they get just enough hit of that social health where, they feel like they got enough of their family, just enough to survive till the next hit by way of Facebook. And my thing would be is just like, you do not have to use that tool. If it's not serving your purposes, and it's robbing, you feel as though it's robbing something from you, try it out. Try not using the tool. It's you shouldn't be like just because a tool is popular or everyone else is using a tool, that doesn't mean it's going to be right for you and your meaning and what you want life to be. But yeah, the loss of human meaning or purpose, the same thing was being said about the internet when it rolled out. I think if you use the internet in a way that is coherent to, rational to your higher purposes, you can get beautiful things like the Pangburn universe community that we have on Discord here. But let's open up the discussion. What is it? How does everyone feel about these concerns? Do you have any concerns yourself that you can't see a reasonable constraint appeasing those concerns?
Yes.
Don't be shy. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, first of all, it's an incredible tool. There's no doubt about that. It can supplement things we can do and the speeds that we can learn at by an incredible pace. So that's a wonderful thing. The medicine thing you talked about, I believe they use them with the hospital I was at. They were using AI for monitoring the patients and
Yeah.
rapid response as to what was going wrong. This was a heart and lung transplant hospital. So they
Right.
were using it in ICU. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the
Yeah.
intensive care, ICU.
Yeah.
And so basically they all of you're constantly hooked up to machines that measure your blood pressure, take blood sugar levels and whatever else, all the information. Plus there's a camera, so they can see exactly what your body's doing at the time as well, and that was all
Right.
correlated through AI, and that gave. And then obviously it also had access to the notes that the nurses were making on you as they used to check you. You had one nurse per patient, 24/7, and they were constantly putting in notes about your condition. Bearing in mind most of the patients were hyped on some pretty intensive painkillers. And so that was quite important, and I think that several times I was getting close to death, or at least my body functions were shutting down, and so that triggered an alarm for the surgeons to rush down and rush me back into theatre to find out what was going on, etc., etc. So I found that quite useful,
Yeah. No
personally.
kidding.
Yeah. So I think that speed of reaction as well, they could tell that my body was shutting down rather than just some whatever, some low blood pressure or something like that. Several signs all at once that the lungs were getting rejected by my immune system.
Wow. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was very useful, and that saved time, and that meant that the anaesthetists and surgeons would be ready waiting in the operating theatre by the time they rushed my body to do them.
Amazing.
No, that was only a short way. So yeah, that was incredible. And I think they relied on it quite heavily as it goes, because there was a lot of staff which had other jobs to do. So I think the monitoring the nurses were pretty good at anyway, but they weren't as quick as the AI was. Saying
Right.
this patient was about to have a problem and setting off an alarm to let people know. But anyway, that's one anecdotal thing. But the second thing, the thing that I kind of worry about is the same problem I had with Google searching,
Right.
which is not a lot different, but it's this. I would call it the rise of anti-intellectualism, or the reduction in useful knowledge, of maintained knowledge or gained knowledge. So you can use the AI to study yourself and learn these things, or, as I found out, somebody trolling can quite easily just sit behind the keyboard and go type, and type your question in and get an immediate answer. They don't have to know anything.
Yep.
They're just going to answer as AI, and you think you're arguing with somebody in good faith, but in fact they're just waiting waiting for you to make some error or something like that, and then jump on that and run down that like a pre-supper would,
And I think that person would be, they're using the tool in a bad faith way, or they're also using a tool in a way, unless that is their method of learning. And I guess someone could say, like, well, I see the answer from the system, and let's say the system's built on strong epistemic standards, and then I give the person that response, and then I embody it, and I learn that way. Like, for example, if someone was doing that with me, which I'm pretty sure I've confronted that before. I just, I, for one, treat the response with good faith and helpfulness and respond the way I would, whether it was them writing it or whether it's an AI response. That particular thing doesn't bother me, but the thing that does bother me is whether or not this is, maximizing well-being for the user that's doing this. Like what are the reasons they are doing this? Are they doing this to just like harm people, troll them, waste their time, and they think it's funny, like a kind of bullying? Like that would obviously be something I'm against. So
Yeah.
I guess it would matter to me why they're doing it, but the fact that it's like AI generated doesn't bother me. I'm gonna judge the merits of what's being said, the arguments based on what's actually being said. But
No, I agree with that. I'm just saying that this allows people who are
bad actors to
bad
Yeah.
actors and
Yeah.
also, anti-intellectuals more specifically, to have access to something which sounds quite reasonable or may sound quite reasonable, but they're going to interpret it the way they want to interpret it with their biases, with cognitive biases, right? So,
Just use AI back.
well, yeah, okay, but
But like Niv, how is that going to further Simos's purposes? So like again, just because they're doing it, and then we get into this eye for an eye thing, but just because they're doing it doesn't mean that you're going to find it virtuous to do, or useful or meaningful.
It's not about revenge. It's just about even. It's not. It sounds like he's saying like if you're debating someone and you're debating with AI, it's cheating in a way in the debate. But I'm just like, if you just access AI yourself, then and you win the debate by being better at AI, because the argument's more, lean in your favor, and being right.
I can see
it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I can see that, but Simos didn't say that was his purpose, right? And you're saying that if someone had that purpose, they could use their AI system to win the debate or whatever. So it does matter. It does matter what Simos is trying to get out of the dialectic.
I don't even think that that's particularly, a good way to use AI anyway, because like I think Alex O'Connor did a video where he both showed that God existed and God didn't exist in the same conversation with AI.
Well, this is why like AI
it's not a good tool for that.
Well, yeah.
And
the quote
that's
quote
why
unquote,
I'm saying about
yeah.
the anti-intellectual and bad faith proponent is just going to look up the information that will support their point, even if it's wrong. And the AI is likely to agree with them and just give them some intellectual argument which sounds valid.
Yeah,
right?
So that's misusing
probably is valid.
Yeah, so that's misusing the tool, like we've been talking about this whole time.
I agree. Yeah, I was trying to give both sides of it. Anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. And yeah, that's a good example of misusing the tool and how someone can use the internet just to cherry pick information from studies that would support an anti-vaccine narrative. Like people do that with the internet all the time, and people use AI systems to do that all the time as well. So it's
Yep.
Thomas,
I had an example fairly recently of that as well, where I just used AI back actually, Niv. So just to look up as to why these studies were flawed, or potentially flawed.
Right.
Just counter them.
Yeah, I did, but I didn't have to hand. I mean, I knew what I was talking about, so.
With AI.
Well, I knew what I was talking about in this particular example, so I knew what to look up in AI. Right, exactly.
Thomas, can you run the room for a bit here? I have to. Yeah, I have to. What?
We can just start having open conversations for sure.
Yeah, it's just we're trying to get people to give their takes. Yeah. I just have to step out for a minute.
Did you get the point I was making there, Niv, at all?
Yeah, I get your point. A person could use it in a bad person who has more has truth more on their side. I think they could out AI that person. Is where I'm coming from.
Yeah, that may be the case, but I'm old school, right? I existed and learnt my knowledge before the internet was a thing, and we had to do it the hard way by going down libraries and reading.
Play
So,
devil's
you know,
advocate because
having
you
having a
can,
memory of information is also an important thing when you're debating. But yeah, go ahead, Doug. Sorry.
yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, I mean, and I hate to be the negative Nancy all the time, but like, yeah, I mean, someone using a personal AI subscription and maybe making some small changes, or who knows, like, there's people who've kept data and can actually train AIs or put together a small data set. But this is very different. This is very different than something you might see from like Google Health or something. Like it's really large. And so I don't see AI at a stage where there's like a secret or a hack or a trick where a person is actually creating an unfair social platform. They're behaving politically and they're manipulating people using an AI. Personally, I see it more the case that it has to culminate in data centers, these geopolitically and these almost like mysterious sort of huge almost godlike uses of AI that do exist today.
I think the AI would more even the odds with a bad faith actor that is a professional in a particular field, and they just want to, because you're not that yourself. They could say they could make up prescriptions that aren't to your well-being. They're not to your benefit, but you're not really aware if that's the case or not. But the fact that you have AI, you could probably more spot a malicious doctor or somebody that isn't, is behaving in a malpractice way than if you didn't have access to it. I think it's more in the other direction of a person
Yeah,
catching somebody who's behaving in bad faith than utilizing. I think it more works.
but AI would guess AI what AI would be doing would be guessing what like a doctor on social not but and AI would be guessing what a doctor on social media might say. It wouldn't be diagnosing symptoms though too. So like the bad faith actor would have like you'd have to I mean you would have to be the same type of here's my point I guess is you'd have to be the same type of bad guy quote or the same type of quote scam artist in order to just be a person, right? Be a person, not be like a supervillain and use AI to manipulate people.
Yeah, I feel like it's those that aren't in the professional field using AI in that field. Like for instance, a lawyer isn't going to use AI to purposely get wrong law. He's going to have an idea of what law is. But someone who's like a sovereign citizen may use AI to, further their own beliefs.
Guys.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, who knows? I mean, I think if we say AI is producing an inference, but it's also like functionally okay, and just in case I'm not trying to be an expert, but if you don't understand what AI is, right, an AI inference is meant to replace the time and the steps it takes leading up to producing a piece of work or producing a decision. AI, you can just ask a question and it does all of that in the inference. And so, like, I don't think like if you're a lawyer, you don't just yes, obviously you're allowed to use AI. No one's saying lawyers can't use AI, but if you're replacing aspects of teaching, right? You're supposed to be teaching your clients about the law. You're supposed to be teaching them about what morals or principles, what legal principles matter while you're providing lawyer services. I could easily see someone using AI to both save time as well as make superficial considerations that in most cases you would prefer that like an arbitrator or a mediator would say you should be doing these things. These are things you could consider doing yourself. You wouldn't want a lawyer to do it. But if AI does it, then yes, you're just going to be cramming it up the ass of the courts.
Yeah, I think
You
I
think
need to kind of explain that level better. But like a lawyer can use AI, and they've been using AI a lot recently. It's just that when a lawyer looks up for whatever case they're working on, they're going to notice when a fake case comes up because they have an idea. They went through school, so when they see that AI might have provided them a phantom case, they're going to be able to say, "Oh, that's wrong. Let me do another compile and see if I can get this thing to compile correctly." When someone who has no understanding of law uses it, then they're going to get ideas that may not fit into the actual profession. It's kind of the worry that the non professional uses it to try to act like they are the professional.
I think more good can come from AI. Do you guys think more good can come from it, or more bad?
That's good. Yeah, it could be a lot good.
Both. I mean, it's the
So
same
it's a
as the
pretty broad
internet.
question.
There's a lovely quote by David Bowie before he passed away. I think this was in about 2000, quite a while ago, and he said, the internet's just amazing. It's going to make so much difference to mankind, both on the both in the amount of light it can shine on mankind, but also the amount of darkness that it will bring to mankind. And I think there was a lot to be said, and that's just, I think AI as a result is just a continuation of the the information age. That's how I see it at the moment. Again?
Yeah, it would test our hubris as a species.
Yeah, good. Yeah, well put.
Was
Were you looking that quote up, Thomas?
Was that like
What's that? I'm sorry.
Were you looking the quote up?
No, I'm extremely tired right now, so I'm just letting you guys go.
Okay, no worries. No worries.
Thank you.
Was that a bad question?
Which one? Sorry.
If you think more good or more bad will come.
Oh, I mean, I think it's incredibly difficult to understand because or to answer because personally, I'm pretty sure everybody in this room is in the same boat. I don't have enough understanding of how large language models work, let alone where they're going to be going next.
Okay, I'll answer it. I think more good.
I tend to use them as like encyclopedias.
Huh?
That's the way I use them, as encyclopedias.
Yeah.
I tend not to ask them existential questions or anything like that.
I think more good will come because more people will have access to this thing that's very helpful, and they could apply it to their lives in a very helpful, productive way, benefiting society as a whole.
I really don't think it is, though. I really don't think it's. I would disagree. And the reason is I think I think specific AIs are exclusive, and I think most general AIs are surface level representations of the world. And while they themselves may appear to digitally model what reality is like, I think they are less flexible to go more steps out. And this is a huge difference between previous generations of technologies. Like if we look at cloud computing or something, cloud computing, the internet, you could, an example is if you go to a subreddit or a forum, you can go into a topic like board games or Dungeons and Dragons, and if you don't find the information you need at the depth you want, you know that's just the people that you're talking to and it's the website. But AI never tells you that it's giving you a surface level answer or explanation. AI never tells you that it is the same class of technology when it tries to go further, and it does, and it's maybe achieves it in some sense. So I think AI ultimately creates more disillusions and delusions than it does saves time.
You wonder why? You ever wonder why? Like, it seems like conservatives are more pessimistic about AI
I disagree.
than liberals, or am I off with that?
That's because
They
fucking
seem like
Google.
because they think,
Sorry,
oh fuck me.
go to
They because
Arkansas.
sometimes mention Skynet takeover,
Go
and
to Arkansas. Go to South Dakota. It would be good if Skynet took over, right? It would be good if Skynet took over because even if you are a strict constitutional conservative and you're strictly against big government, where's AI in other places where people share the same values as you? It is nowhere, right? You don't need a computer software program to tell someone don't coerce others, don't create an economic net that forces political hands, that forces political choices against liberty. So you're absolutely right. Conservatives should be skeptical of AI, but so should progressives, right? So progressives should also see that this is just another large economic disruption that forces more government spend, right? It crams technocracy, it crams government in these places where it doesn't best operate. It's not about voices in a democracy. People should be upset.
It crams resources too. Like it sucks resources bad.
takeover. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Hey. No, actually, I'm not sure what you're saying. Should they be afraid or should they be against it?
I mean, I think there's a cap. I honestly think AI has a cap, and we're at the stage where we don't know where that ceiling is, but there's going to be a ceiling. It will hit a ceiling. If not because of the nature, it's going to be because of the resources. These data centers are getting larger, larger, and larger. There's going to be a ceiling.
Yeah, I kind of thought it'd be harder to be corrupt with AI because people can use it to
Yeah, so
evade corruption. And I think like if a person has a corrupt mind and intentions, a person could find that out with AI.
So, what would happen
you
if,
know,
let's say, one of the companies that run one of the AIs are the corruption and they lobotomize the AI per se?
How could you? I mean, if you're using AI in a corrupt way, a person can just use it back in countering you. They can look up what you. I mean, you have access to what they do.
How does it not just become what our media is now, and where you have teams, you have this AI team and that AI team. This AI is going to give you the right answers if you're this type of person. Like, it's going to be tribal. It's going to be very tribal.
I think the truth will more lean in favor of person with whoever's using the AI.
so is it I was talking about AI and the other day when it comes to education, and I was wondering what you guys might think about this kind of stuff. So I was thinking about a system where you had a teacher teaching a lesson at the front of the classroom, right? And you have a tablet that's moving along with the teacher and the lesson that they're teaching. And if one of the students has a question, they can ask the AI model about the question or about the part of the lesson so that the teacher doesn't have to stop actually teaching the lesson. And then when the teacher's actually done teaching the lesson, a lot of kids have gotten the individual attention that they needed, and then general questions can be like answered by the teacher. What do you guys think about something like that getting like implemented into education with AI?
Um, there's societies that are very corrupt and they're very unfair. It's like they have societies that exist where you're either filthy rich or filthy poor.
How does that
And
answer? How does this tie in what I
and
just asked?
and well, the with the if you have that type of society, you want it unfair. You wouldn't want.
We're just talking about the
I'm trying to
education
ask you.
thing right here. No, we're like this is
Okay,
very
never mind.
specific.
Forget it. Forget it.
I asked a very specific question about the education thing, Nibbit. Did he just leave? Jeez. I asked a very specific question about the education. I was just like, not the corrupted, whatever the hell. Classic
I guess
Niv
that's
nuns. I mean, that happens every now and then. He might be back. But yeah, does anybody else have any thoughts about that possible AI system in education?
When I was in school years ago, I think the classes were mostly maintained one teacher, about 20-ish students, right? I think with AI, you can have a teacher for a larger classroom, which would probably help in what we already have, that issue of not having enough teachers. I feel like AI can help bring that bump to where having 40 kids in a class wouldn't be as like dooms feeling as most teachers feel like it is right now.
Okay, did he lose connection or did I?
Who Niv? Who are you talking about? Either way. Anyway, is that the only? Nobody else has any? Anybody else have any thoughts on that one? The education systems maybe getting implemented into a classroom with AI.
Yeah, I think it's going to be helpful. The access to information is what is what school's about. So if the teacher can, find better ways to present the information, or like do lesson plans beforehand, which are more concentrated, or more engaging, even possibly, because of the resources they can get access to, then that's only a good thing. And then, potentially you could have plan the lesson to be spoken by the AI, and then have the teacher just go around, as you say, to the children individually, making sure that they're okay and can concentrate on what's going on.
One of the things that I noticed that was really strong, at least when I was in school, and also something I noticed on the internet. Now, was that I'm not trying to learn these things that I'm seeing just like randomly on shorts or whatever. So the attention isn't really like there as far as like deep learning. But there are I learned the Spanish alphabet, the entirety of it, via song. And I know for a fact AI can make really, really catchy songs with regular information. And taking basic information and putting it in the form of a really catchy song, especially to younger kids, is a excellent way for them to learn and retain the information after a few viewings and a few practices of it. So I think that is really powerful in terms of, while there is a lot of subject matter that's been sung about for different parts of math and English and shit, it can be done for literally all of it.
I have I'm not sure I quite agree with all of it. We used to use it a lot for just fundamental information. So you'd learn equations and times tables, right, and alphabets and things like
You
that.
learn the
Which,
alphabet through a song.
yeah, for sure. And fundamental information, equations and stuff like that, and or orders of kings. That's another good one. So it's good for like learning a lot of information, general information very quickly, which you just have to refer to by
Well, I mean,
knowing the order, etc. But
I haven't
yeah,
listened to the song since I was in high school, and I can still recite the entire Spanish alphabet because of the song.
yeah, exactly. And melodies are a very strong, way to tie in learning, as well as the visual cues, right?
Of course.
Okay, the people that can, like, look at a deck of cards and then recite the order. They do it by telling themselves a story, and then they remember the story because that's a level above, and then they can deconstruct the story into what the cards were, etc. However, I do think there's something to be said for the old-fashioned way, because I'm an old-fashioned guy.
Do you,
And the way we were supposed to do it was to write things down, write down the information, and that was another way of doing it, to physically tie the memory of writing it out in full.
Yeah, well, I mean, that makes sense
the
for a
information.
certain crowd of people because there are separate sets of learners. There are people that are more tactile learners. There are people that are more listening and watching learners. So, and there's more hands-on tactile learners, like I was saying. So essentially, there are there's a lot of ways to incorporate the teachings. I think that writing it down or using some sort of stylus or typing, even just to get that in there, is great. However,
I think
I don't think it. I think it kind of like balances out, or like it's less of a pushing against it, is more of like working with it.
Yeah, I think one is concepts. The difference I'm trying to make to you here is one is just rote memorization of facts, and the other is memorization of the concepts and what's behind them. So you could, for instance,
Well, the
you can learn.
songs. I mean, the songs can
You've
do
learned.
a lot. I don't know if you've seen these songs.
Yeah, I've
Can
used
I
them. I
voice
mean,
a concern?
that's how we used to do it when I was at school, right? Go ahead, Annika.
So I'm listening to you guys, and I largely agree that, like, if anything fails humanity, or in the arena of AI, is going to be humans misusing AI. But it's precisely that reason that I think that we have to be very careful about um, what future AI may hold. So, for example, we know that humans typically look for easier ways out. And what's happening is, I don't know if you guys heard of the term AI collapse, which is where more and more AI models are being trained on previously generated AI content.
Mm.
And since every time AI is deployed, it uses the most statistically probable response to a given prompt or whatever it learns from, it will basically start deteriorating because it will use AI content, which is already using statistically probable outcome, to generate more statistically probable outcome. And so it will slowly erase rarity and creativity. And so even though we are currently living in an age where we don't notice it because it's still learning from all the human content that is available. But the more AI is being used and the more it learns from other AI to generate what is more statistically probable, there's going to be a reduction in um, content that is unique. And so this is something that might become it can become such a slow process that we don't even notice how everything starts to level out as far as information, creativity, music. So this is my biggest concern, is how our collective knowledge is going to be dampened by the use of AI.
See, I could see this happening maybe a little bit if the use of AI overall was a little bit more like I blindly do exactly what the AI tells me, or I don't have any like creative input on what's going on with the AI, or something like that. Because then, yeah, you're just doing exactly what you're saying, and you're following it to the letter. And as it gets more degenerative, quote unquote, then yeah, you would get worse. But there's no, human cognition still exists, and it's not going to get so dampened in the next 20 years by this AI that we're not going to be able to look at it and go, well, that's not what I wanted or creative enough or what I'm looking for in this, and either find a better one, prompt it better, or just start working on your own. Like this,
Well,
I feel like I feel like the take is good, but only if people don't really creatively use the AI.
yeah, if people stop basically pushing their own creativity and start relying more and more on AI, definitely, like we have to make sure that AI continues to learn from new human created art and writings, because if it starts basically, if the sum of its resources becomes skewed towards resources from other AI generated content, then we're going to have um, you know it's going to basically regurgitate its own information at us, and we will not notice how this evolution is occurring. And again, I'm stressing the fact that people do tend to want comfort and to take the easy routes. And so the more people rely on AI, the more AI will encounter other AI works to learn from. We have to be very careful about that. Like when we produce AI images and we think that this is really like creative and original, it appears to us now that way because it is the time in which we are living and the results of AI that we're seeing, where there's still more human content out there than AI. But then in time, there will be astronomically more AI content visible. Like even if you go, for example, to sites like Pinterest, you look for like photos of models, you start to see more AI made models than
Yep.
you
Are
than
they
you
tagged?
see. No, not all of them, not at all. I mean, there's so much of it out there now. So imagine that becoming something that the next AI models are learning from. So this is something that,
This is something. I mean, you could just implement a very easy tagging process to just tag was it allowed to be triggered by like the AI or not. Be like, hey, you're allowed to look for already like cited or sourced human things and nothing else. Boom.
yeah, which is something that I think a lot of people don't really do. And that's a problem for where I say that humanity will fail AI as opposed to AI will fail humanity, because most people opt for the easy, easy. Let me like I don't know, like put a
Well, I
little
think you have a
draft.
concern, and I
Yeah,
think it's a valid concern. I think it's just like it's an easily adapted and handleable one. It is dangerous, but there's like very easy steps to do stuff about it.
if we have people who kind of
I
like
know.
draft out their creative ideas or their like picture ideas or something, they just draft it out and let the AI do all the creative aspect of it, and they just accept it without further, pushing their own vision. They accept it kind of like,
The
oh,
lack
that's
of
good enough.
the lack of
And
creativity will make it lose itself in the marketplace anyway. If it's not going to be a creative, awesome piece of work, the people that are going to be looking at or interested in are going to see that it's a bland mess of everything else. It's not going to be unique or anything like that, and nobody will be interested.
Why is it a bad thing anyway that someone accepts the first generated prompt that they give it if they like it, if it appeals to them and they like it? What's the big deal about it?
I mean, in art, I don't think it matters, but like for instance, as an accountant, I use AI for policies I create for audits, and the first compile has wrong information in it. It always has wrong information in it. So you have to correct the information and resend it to them. Usually, like when I did my prompts, I had to compile it about 4 or 5 times.
I also with the classroom.
I wanted to hear this.
Yeah, guys, there's a little bit of an assumption that AI will do it better. And I just don't think that a person, if you've had the experience, can say that. It's not the thing that's lacking in school is some kind of connection, whether it's a change in the workforce of jobs that are in the 21st century or and adults who know how to go with them or whatever else it might be. We discovered very quickly during COVID that humans did not do well overall. Students did not do overall with the isolation. Some might, and they might work in that scenario. But we discovered really that what it was missing was the connections. And I know that AI could definitely help me in the class and maybe there is a robot that could follow me around. But yeah, it's not. We're a long way off from people, bringing it in and being like, oh my gosh, like everything's going to be amazing or whatever. It's like, no, the kids will still, you have to still make the content engaging. And that takes a person who is creative, not just like with prompts, but just, has that spontaneity. So
do you use AI at all, Brett?
Well, did you, I wanted to ask, did you hear the way that I described that it would be used or?
Yeah, I think that,
it's not going to be teaching the kids. The teacher's teaching the class, and to not disrupt the flow until the end of whatever the teacher's lesson is, they just can ask the AI questions while it's following along, and then it'll give them a little bit of prompting and be like, maybe ask your teacher this specifically if you need help with this, and then they go, okay, when you're done. That's what I mean. I mean, all it's doing is assisting, not fucking up the flow of your teaching, so that when it comes to the actual question time, they all have ready questions and shit. They all have.
It could. Yeah, it could. It's just that, it's the assumption that the thing that's missing is the kid just needs to see it as engaging or accessible. When I think we have to make schools look different in a certain way of like experiences for certain things versus just, like the bank model, admittedly. Actual like projects where they simulate courtrooms for famous court cases and stuff.
I think we should probably work under the assumption that AI will be implemented in public schools. So I think we should think about, like Jack is doing, good ways that we can use the tool instead of hedging like the bad ways, right? It seems like we've brought up a lot of the bad things that could be, but we should think about the good ways, I think, like Jack was doing.
Yeah.
Brett, I wanted to ask you, do you use AI at all for when you teach with your?
Before Brett answers that, I had to
Can
run
I
out.
also
I had to
answer
run
to
out.
Perry?
Yeah, 1 second, Anka. I had to run out for 15 minutes, but I'm back now. But I was listening in, and holy crap, people, if you're going to make claims, like provide your empiricism behind the claims. I just heard a whole lot of claim vomit when I was gone, and it's upsetting epistemically for me to hear that. And I've heard a lot of things that weren't substantiated at all, and just like no one questioning it. I don't know if people had questions about it even, but let's get back to like good empiricism here and start holding each other accountable to the claims we're making. But it sounded like Anka had a response to Perry about what he said. And then Brett, you can go if you want to answer the question.
Yeah, Perry, you asked what's wrong with accepting the first AI answer, if you like it. I think that it depends on...
With art, right? We were talking about art specifically. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think that, first of all, it has to do, again, with the times that we are living in right now with regards to AI, of course, it still feels like it's very original because it's mostly learning from human-made content. But this might not be the case in the future. So of course, what you're saying right now is fine because you can accept the first image that is being produced. But the more AI learns from AI, it will produce statistically more probable result. And it will be, since it will be borrowing from other AI results, it will basically become more diluted with
No, that's not true.
probability.
I don't know why you believe that. So the way large language models work is they are continuously updating what they are pulling from based on what's new from humanity. So my AI system is connected directly to Google Scholar, to all kinds of platforms that produce new papers. It's connected to all of the new art that's being created around the globe, all of the old art in history. So this idea of AI collapse by way of this probability model you're talking about just is not the case. I don't know why you believe that.
I kind of want to bridge the gap here a little bit.
That's a real concern that exists that I didn't come up with.
Yeah,
You
a
can look
real
it up.
concern
That's a real-
by who, right? Because I'm seeing that it's
by-
grounded in like really poor understanding about how AI actually incorporates. Like it's like there's this thing like if AI stops incorporating new information like epistemically or artistically, then it's going to somehow be diluted. Yeah, this is just modal possibility playing around with things that aren't going to happen because that's not even how the systems work. So I don't like.
Do you
mind
want
if
me
I-
to pull this information and tell you who exactly is concerned?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, put it in the chat.
That's not a problem for me.
Well, you should, as a habit, you should do it.
Yes, I was not talking out of my ass. Hold on a second.
All right.
Adam, did you want to say something? And then maybe
Yeah, I was
Brett.
just going to say, like, I've seen these studies too. I don't have access to them at this exact moment because I'm walking around right now. But I work in AI. I work at Microsoft, and we talk about AI like pretty much 2/3 of every day. And like early on, when a lot of the models were new, this was a big concern, and there was like studies that kind of backed this possibility.
Correct.
But a lot of that was based on the way it was done at the time, and the way it was done at the time was a brand new thing. There were no best practices yet. Just comb everything you possibly can was kind of the only strategy in town. And it's largely because of the studies that show that this is degrading very quickly over iterations of these models, that they changed the way they do things, and they've started to do things a little bit more the way Travis and I think of some other people in the chat were describing, which is they don't just dump everything they possibly can into the model. They're a bit more directed about what they do or what they consume, what they weight as important versus what's not. Like stuff that's made by humans gets much more weight. And they're directed a lot more towards specific goals. It's not just consume everything that you can so that you can talk about everything. A lot of the models are getting a lot more specific about what they're for. There's like coding models, and there's art models, and there's things that are meant specifically for translation, which is actually where ChatGPT started, and various other things. And the more directed they are, and the more their training material is directed toward that specific goal, the more accurate they get. It only happens because you force that to happen, but they direct it to happen that way.
And this is why I see this kind of attitude and this kind of like presentation of the information just like not consistent at all with what creators and manufacturers are doing. Like major AI labs are not blindly, scrapping the internet. Like it's just that's not what's happening, and the developers are not careless to this kind of collapse issue. Like, and yeah, I agree with Adam. Some of the early models of how things were operating were very primitive and prone to particular issues. But again, if that's all we're talking about, why are we talking about that in the contemporary when we're talking about, issues to look out for with regards to AI systems when this issue's already been solved? So,
But what about the issue with the inverse on the spectrum, like AI tribalism?
well, let's not change. Let's put a cap on this turd first before we open up that turd. But yeah, if Anka, if you want to present more information of the study, I have some things that here to debunk it, but maybe this is an old study. I don't know where you want to go with this.
It's a study from 2024.
Okay.
So by the age of AI, it could be considered old, maybe, but Menno actually helped me out by pasting it in the comments, and it was cited by. It was researched and authored by researchers from University of Oxford, Cambridge, University of Toronto, and Vector Institute, which I don't really know who they are, but just to give you a little.
Is that link working for everyone else? Because when I'm posting the link, the link that Mino posted, yeah, it's not.
It worked for me.
I went to the actual, I'm on Google trying to get in, and for some reason that link's not working.
Let me see if I can paste it as well, but looks like we're the same.
Yeah, maybe try a different link because
I was able to get it.
I'm actively on Google. I'm not even using the link. I'm
trying, Travis. I'm trying right now.
I do feel like I remember
I posted it again, and here we go.
It was definitely legit at the time. It was just all we didn't. It was 2024 is a time when we didn't know better. Like it was, you're kind of right on the point when you say that was an age ago for AI.
Open this fucking link. Jesus Christ.
AI produces gibberish when trained on too much AI-generated data.
Okay, I'm just gonna Google search this and pull it up because
I have to pay for it to look at the full article.
Okay, I found it in Nature. Here's without the ChatGPT link here. The problem was in the link that's provided, it's got an equal chatgpt.com in it for some reason. But let me run this. Okay, so what the paper actually shows, the paper by Ilya Shumailov and colleagues does not show that AI will inevitably collapse. It shows that if generative models are repeatedly trained on their own outputs, especially when synthetic data increasingly replaces real data, the models tend to lose information about the tails of the distribution and drift away from the original data distribution. That result is largely uncontroversial. So the first criticism would be there's an unrealistic replacement assumption. The biggest criticism is that the paper's strongest collapse results often assume that synthetic data progressively replaces the original real data. Real AI development rarely works this way. So modern labs typically keep large corpora of human-generated data, add new human-generated data continuously, filter synthetic content, use human feedback, and use benchmark evaluations to detect degradation. So subsequent work from researchers at Stanford, MIT, and others found that when real data accumulates alongside synthetic data, collapse can be avoided. This directly attacks the idea that collapse is inevitable. Number two, the internet is not a closed system. The Nature paper is effectively studying a feedback loop, but reality continuously generates new books, new conversations, new videos, new scientific papers, new experiments, new observations. The world keeps producing fresh information. The strongest collapse scenarios become much weaker when the data stream remains connected to reality rather than becoming a self-referential AI echo chamber, which it's not. Criticism 3, synthetic data already works. So many modern AI successes rely heavily on synthetic data. Examples include self-play systems, reasoning traces, reinforcement learning, distillation, synthetic coding tasks. Even frontier models frequently improve by training on carefully generated synthetic data rather than deteriorating. The issue appears to be unfiltered recursive retraining rather than synthetic data itself. Criticism 4, the paper studies a worst case dynamic. A fair reading of the paper is, here is a failure mode that can exist. A common public interpretation is, this can be the future of AI. Which I think is part of the problem in how this particular paper and study is being applied here. So these are obviously very different claims. A 2025 position paper argues that model collapse has become an umbrella term covering multiple different phenomena, and that many catastrophic interpretations rely on assumptions that poorly match real-world AI training practices. Criticism 5, market forces fight collapse. Company A trains an AI slop and degrades. Company B maintains better data pipelines. Then company B wins. Collapse is not just a technical problem, it is a competitive disadvantage. This creates strong incentive to preserve high quality data, detect synthetic contamination, maintain human generated data sets. The paper's mathematics do not incorporate these economic forces. Number 6, performance metrics often do not collapse. An important nuance is that a model can lose rare information while maintaining or even improving many benchmark scores. This means collapse is often not a sudden catastrophic failure. It is frequently a gradual loss of diversity, rare examples, minority information, and distribution tails. The public often imagines a dramatic crash when the research literature often discusses a more subtle statistical degradation. So, yeah, I mean that's what I'm seeing in the here and now. Anyway, what I'm saying is in the here and now, what's being talked about here is a pseudo problem.
I think the constant input of whatever human data that they have is just a great way to hedge whatever sort of similar problem that it sounds like we're bringing up could be had. I mean, if it does that and it constantly refreshes, then it's not purely creating synthetic data over and over and over again.
Yeah, and the Nature study is demonstrating like simply a possible failure mode. That's
Sure.
what's being demonstrated. So, this stuff is already being engineered around. So, shouldn't be of contemporary concern, I think. But yeah, and part of this is that the AI science and what's going on with AI is so quickly growing that you, if you blink, you might find yourself, missing out on something new.
Wanted to reiterate that.
In the chat.
Sorry, Anka, go ahead.
No, nothing. Go ahead.
I wanted to reiterate that it seemed like I just got back, but I was only hearing like these negative critiques. I don't know if that was the topic of discussion, like the cons of AI.
Well, funnily enough, Perry, that like as we started this episode, it was like we dealt with some of the more common negative issues in pretty strong detail that people have, and the quite obvious engineering constraints that can be done to mitigate these issues. We went through the top 10. but a lot of people were not here for that. But then we started talking about some more positive things. But I find that and sometimes for bad reason. I'm not like shitting on Anka, but I think this would be a bad reason to fall into AI alarmism just by demonstrating that it's simply out of date, and it probably wasn't well informed in the first place, because it's just like, why are we spending money on this, like simply this studying this possible failure mode scenario where this is something that's almost certainly easily going to be engineered around. Like, what really is the purpose of this this nature study? And studies aren't perfect. Like, sometimes a lot of money is pissed away on stuff like this. But it does frustrate me when we're just baby steps out of the door with a piece of technology, and I see this as pissing away your money, and demonstrably so with where we are at now. And I hate seeing a waste of resources, intellectual and other, in science.
Well, this happens to all technology. I mean, when electricity came out, Edison was electrocuting elephants to prove a point.
Yeah, we don't need to do that, though.
Yeah, that's the point. We can have
It's always going to happen, though.
Well, and I'm here to critique it when we do stupid shit. There was a lot of other claims too that were made that I can't remember all of them because it was just such a flood of claims about, like, I think it was Nate talking about, I don't know if Nate's still here, but he was saying the most absurd, outrageous shit about, like, well, AI systems are just this, and simplifying them into like complete and utter misunderstanding and relating them to politics and stuff. And I wish Nate was here to defend what he was saying, and I don't know if I can stomach going back and listening to that, but yeah, as you can tell, I get frustrated with people just throwing shit out there and not providing the empirical goods. So I'm just bitching. When I step away for 15 minutes. I was and I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm just wearing my heart on my sleeve a little bit here.
Brett, do you use AI with your students at all? Or is that like a sin in your classroom?
Some.
Okay. Do you use it to help formulate whatever criteria you have planned for the kids for the next 2 weeks?
Weren't you using it for lesson planning, Brett? And quizzes?
I used it to, at one point, to like compare answers, or try to compare answers for writing, to see, like, give it a prompt and answers students had given, and then try to analyze, like, what like kind of lesson you could do to help people with their reading and writing. The issue is that some of the prompts, like, admittedly, like, I was doing it straight from my source. So some of the prompts were good and gave like good examples and students could read through them, but others were also like full of like the information didn't always line up. So yeah, it was a mix.
What do you mean by, sorry, just to, because I'm always very curious about that. What do you mean the information didn't line up?
Like at times I had to make sure, I had to know the source to know that the given units that it was giving me, it had some of the wrong like section titles. And I had like a PDF to compare with it. But yeah, the one.
Oh, you mean like in the composition of the information, like when you were trying to make spreadsheets or like quiz sheets? Yeah. So that, I don't know when you were doing that, but that has been actually the most difficult thing, based on my study of the systems, is accurate text to image generation. This was
Yeah.
something that only now ChatGPT just rolled out their most recent model that is stellar. It rarely makes mistakes, like when I'm making posters and things like that. But when this stuff first rolled out, and I was trying to make like little comic pages and stuff for the Del Tzu comic that we made, it would take me like 20 to 30 prompts to try and get a page right. And I had to resort to using like Adobe editing softwares, and it was really bad. But it's much more improved now. But I was more curious about if you thought that anything informationally was incorrect in what you were trying to pull.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it was more of a composition issue.
No, there was one or two.
Okay.
Of what you just said, but really what it was just, it wasn't like, it would try to do organic prompts from various questions, but the way it would word it would be like no way that like a teenager would speak. It was definitely robotic. And there were a couple other times where it got like, I don't know, the way it answered the question was, I guess it was just different. Yeah, not gonna lie, dude, I've had success with it to a certain degree, especially like trying to like sympathize through jobs and telling people about, you know, the various skills they should know by adulthood kind of thing. So we like went through various lists. I was just trying to express earlier that I think that it should be done intelligently, and that, yeah, really, like, you also, the person, you know, in the room, the teacher in the room, may be like guiding stuff, or like, you know, it's doing some lessons or whatever else, but also like, you know, the real connection in school is the other human. Like that's all I was trying to go for, at least now, just because, you know, it's the adult that helps, you know, go to the person who is trying to learn the new material regardless of what they're learning, and, you know, and support them with that.
That element of social health is imperative for a healthy learning environment.
But I will say your point though, real quick, because I think people will appreciate this. I was able to work on some different like smaller tasks of writing for people based on their abilities. So if you had like English language learners or people who literally needed better sentence starters because they were literally starting out like writing at a 7th or 8th grade level, you could differentiate between various grade levels. So that was very helpful too. So it's a mix, you know.
Also, in the prompting as well. And I don't know how long ago this was. You mentioned that things were coming off like a little bit, seemed a bit like robotic, not how a teen would talk. It would be interesting to look at your prompting to see what you were actually, you know, prompting it to say or be like, the kind of character you wanted to create with your prompting, because all of those details matter, right? Because the tool, an AI tool, is only as useful as the operator, and you know, the amount of human error that's available when using these tools is the same as it is with a hammer or a sawzall. We were using that example earlier, like. You know, like if you don't have constraints on who can operate the sawzall, you know, the vibrating, you know, reciprocating blade that you use to take out, you know, door frames when you're renovating a house. It's like, it's really easy to use that thing, you know, incorrectly or in a flawed way. And then, you know, sometimes people will say, "Oh, there's something wrong with this tool," and then the master, the person who's been working and running a sawzall their entire life, is like, "No, it just vibrates like that for good reason. You got to put your hand on top of it when you're pushing down through the nails or screws that are holding the door frame in place. Like you had your hand under it, like you're shooting a gun. You got to have your hand on top. But the same level of specificity and detail and mastery and artistry is required when it comes to prompting. People are already selling their prompts, their AI prompts. There's already an industry for it to buy, really good prompting. So it's like the level of mastery involved in prompting such a powerful tool like an AI tool is, the sky's the limit. But we can also just be still touching grass with the way we're prompting the system. So just like learning the internet, right, is I think the best comparison.
I think this is a really good point about prompting as a skill and all that. Like from my perspective at work, we were just talking, we're going to have interns come this summer and they were already selected from the previous summer. Next year, we're going to have to select a new batch of interns. And we've already been talking about how, like, I don't think we could really take an intern who wasn't already pretty good at prompting, because I don't know what we could do with them in the amount of time that they have. Like the term that people keep saying over and over again is like, it's not a skill anymore, at least a marketable one. It's table stakes. It's bare minimum.
Right.
You have to like start from.
That's why I mean, what I see in early childhood education and post-secondary and all that, like the art of prompting, I think, is going to be a new necessary, it's going to be as necessary as learning how to type on a keyboard in order to make sure students, don't get left behind in the same way that we wanted students for so long to make sure they don't get left behind with regards to the internet due to our understanding of how useful it is as a tool and how, I mean, now it's become almost unavoidable in the human experience to not use the internet in one way or another. But I think AI, I really, really believe that AI is orders of magnitude larger than the internet in that regard.
Yeah, I prophesied earlier that, AI is going to be implemented into public education, whether teachers or school boards like it or not. But so you have classes, right? You'll probably spend whatever amount of time teaching kids how to use the tools and whatever curriculum you can come up regarding that to help with the prompting.
Yeah, and like when we talked about earlier, if just quickly for everyone who's in the room, because not everyone was here when we started with the common fears of AI. So there was the job loss and economic disruption, dealing with the issue of people losing their jobs as customer service representatives, drivers, clerical workers, and things like this. And there's a lot of interesting ideas from people like Andrew Yang of coming with regard to universal basic income, whether it's too early for that or whether there needs to be some kind of like crossover process. Maybe people who, it's kind of maybe a grandfather process where people who are currently in these industries that are being replaced by AI systems, maybe they qualify for a universal basic income and others don't. But so we talked about job loss and economic distribution. We talked about misinformation and manipulation, and how just like when operating the tool of the internet, it's really on the shoulders of the operator, the user, to be educated on how to use the tool in order to best serve their purposes. The loss of human control, the worry about military systems being taken over by AI robots, autonomous weapons, AI-controlled weapons could, select targets automatically. So you want to have constraints in place to govern those issues. Some people worry about governments or corporations having unprecedented levels of surveillance over people by way of AI technologies, mastery of facial recognition, voice recognition, behavior prediction, mass data analysis, things like this. Bias and discrimination, making sure you train your systems, make sure you're using the tool in a way that is not bias, and it's checking its bias, checking your bias and any discrimination in the system. And a few other things, human dependency. Someone might say, AI is going to make us think less critically. And yeah, if you use the tool in a way that is causing that kind of outcome, I would have major epistemic qualms with that. You should be using the tool differently. There's the existential risk issue. People worry about AI, taking over, enslaving humanity. I think you need to have, I'm more like, and we brought up Jeffrey Hinton, Elon Musk, Nick Bostrom, and people like Sam Harris, who are quite radical when it comes to the existential risk they see. I'm more of the Steven Pinker way of thinking about this, in that, these AI systems, just like, things on the internet, are being born within particular parameters we can control, like if a super intelligent AI will need energy of some kind, being able to suffocate the energy sources and delete or control a super intelligent AI doesn't seem to be outside of something human beings can handle, I think. But some very smart people disagree and worry about super intelligent AI getting away from us. Just make sure it has a short extension cable. And then the last one we went through was this idea that somehow AI is going to lead to a loss of human meaning or purpose. Through a negative utilitarian lens and a suffering avoidance calculus, a person could get there to see how it could do that. But there's just again, you would, from my ethical perspective, you would be using that tool incorrectly if it's causing you a loss of meaning or a loss of purpose. You should be using these tools to help you pursue and manifest your transcending purposes. So those are the things we went through earlier.
Yeah, and that last point you said there, this is not exactly a new thing to say about AI. They've said that about lots of things. They said that about TV. When people are like, well, isn't anybody going to read books anymore? This is the end of civilization if kids don't read books anymore.
Right.
Well, kids read more books now than they did then. And the same is true with the internet. The internet didn't stop people from watching TV or reading books, and AI isn't stopping people from doing any of those three things or going to see theater.
Yeah, many of these fears are literally the same copy and paste fears that were had when the internet was rolling out, and people started realizing, wow, we're in a paradigm shift here. And people started asking the question, is this a paradigm shift they want? Because they held great value in conserving particular traditions that they saw the internet could uproot. And I think what was proven to be the case is that human beings just adjusted accordingly to the technology. Some implement the internet a lot into their life because it helps them better serve their purposes. And like some family members I know don't use the internet very much. So it depends. Like, how are you going to use this tool, if at all? And I would just hope that people are using it in ways that maximize well-being for themselves and those around them. And this is why we need constraints on these tools. We can't have the bad actors, those who want to minimize well-being for others, releasing unconstrained pieces of artificial intelligence technology that could be used to generate all kinds of things that are just bad and wrongful. So, what are some of the Adam, since you work in this field, what are some of the things you notice with regards to where the technology's at right now in the contemporary, and issues that you see socially, issues that you see from a personal perspective? Like, what are you seeing out there?
What I see mostly is at work, and like the two issues that I see most strikingly are like there's kind of a bifurcation in the workforce between people who are adopting AI technologies and people who are resistant to it, either just on principle or just based on habit or whatever. Mostly this is people who have been doing the job for longer and they're just more set in their ways, but it's not exclusive to that. Like sometimes people who have been doing this job for 25 years are ready for a change. And sometimes people who are just getting started were just like, oh, I just got started programming like 2 years ago. I'm not going to learn from scratch now. It's already right. Decided how I'm going to do for my whole career. So that's kind of one thing. And we sort of expect the people who are resistant to the new technology are mostly going to just make themselves either obsolete or work themselves super duper hard trying to keep up. But it's too early to say for sure if that's going to happen. That's just the temperature of sort of like what people expect to happen.
Yeah, well, we're already seeing the artisanal market open up for, say, graphic designers, I've noticed. So like what I mean by that is that like here in Oaxaca, there's mezcal you can get, which is a smoky tequila. You can get it from all of the large distilleries, the mainstream distilleries that make it. Or you can get it from the guy who's pulling his donkey around this circular concrete structure, and the donkey's pulling a literal rock wheel that's rolling around in this cylindrical shape, and that rock is crushing the baked palm of the agave, and that is squeezing out the syrup that is used later, and you get a tiny little saucer full out of all of this work to make the mezcal. And some people just prefer to know that they're having the mezcal the way human beings used to originally do it. Now,
they probably able and tell that story while they're drinking the mezcal to people who haven't heard that story before.
Yeah.
Sit around and appreciate it together, and it's a whole thing.
And within the spectrum of human desire, I understand that. I've been to one of these like traditional mezcal farms where the guys are doing it with the donkey, and then there is a level, a kind of experience that's really neat and human and grounding about watching the process, being engaged with it. But also, like, if I wanted to buy a nice bottle of mezcal for an occasion, I wouldn't feel lesser than in buying one from one of the popular distilleries. Now, what I've noticed in the graphic design world, there are people out there who are kind of sticking their stake in the ground and saying, like, I will not use any AI designed artwork for any of my marketing or anything. And they're saying, like, I'm going to continue paying the person who physically draws out or digitally on their computer draws out and makes the art. Now, I think that kind of like anti-AI artisanal market for things, there will probably always be, and it'll probably become more and more hippie the further down the further down the timeline we go. Like I'm not sure how strong and virtuous that stance is going to last. Just like how strong the typewriter people or the people who really wanted to like take a stand against technology and say, no, we are an internet free law firm. We do it the old way. That just didn't last long, although there was a lot of like people who were going about this this purpose with strong virtue. And so I wonder how long those artisanal anti-AI markets will last. To me, I don't see them lasting very long because I think it's hard to compete with something that is just orders of magnitude more productive than a human being can be by the push of a button. So
yeah, and there's a very small set of things where people would actually appreciate the artisanal nature of things. Food and drink is kind of one of them, art and performance and that sort of thing, obviously. Yeah. But this is a pretty small subset of the things we sell. And I don't know if people are really, really going to want a nice artisanal web front for their store rather than just an easy, quick one that's functional, or like a really, really artisanal filling out of their tax documents.
Yeah, like when it comes to things like that, like holy crap, like TurboTax, which is a very large tax company, the next systems they roll out are going to be all AI operated, which is going to make the process for people even way shorter and less confusing and more clear. But it's going to put a fuck ton of people out of work. Like I saw through even TurboTax, like they're going to be shaving hundreds of jobs.
Yeah. I had one thing I kind of wanted to say about the jobs a little bit, kind of a different angle on it. This probably doesn't apply to every industry, but for software development, it definitely does. We're already kind of seeing it where, sorry, I started talking while I was walking a little too much.
That's all right. You're talking about jobs. Yeah.
Yeah. So people are worried about like AI taking people's jobs. And for the most part, on average, that's not really happening. It's just not bearing out in the numbers yet. But it is happening quite a bit at the entry-level jobs.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a problem for people who are in college right now. But even longer term than that, we're really worried about, we don't know where new software developers come from yet. And it might be AI presents a solution to that down the road. But so far, people usually become software developers by being a junior developer, and they work on tiny little problems that are kind of easy, and they struggle through them and they learn. We're doing that with AI now. And then like the next stage is you're a senior and you start mentoring people who are doing the junior level work. Well, the seniors are using AI for that now. So you don't really get the experience you have as a junior person struggling with these elementary problems because you yourself are elementary and you're just getting started.
Right.
And you don't have the second phase of the process where it's your job to mentor people and walk them through their process and help them understand things and help them become senior. AI is a really good time for people who are already like at the principal level of software development where they're inventing and implementing projects of their own. But the pipeline, as far as we can tell so far, is just kind of falling apart. And it's going to have to get replaced with something because otherwise the businesses will just stop having talent. But so far, we don't know what the new method is going to be.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That entry level problem is interesting because we could think of it this way, that just the new entry level is that of a higher caliber, right? Like the entry level now is that what used to be thought of as mid-tier. So students, there is no entry level position anymore. You have to compete for the mid-tier jobs, and of course that means less jobs. So unless somehow those mid-tier jobs, there's just going to be room for more development and more bodies, but I don't really see that. So it's like, the job loss especially if you're losing from the, you know, that bottom layer of the pyramid.
The
bit
real
of an
pickle there
issue.
is not even fills those seats, but in order to have the ability to be that mid-tier person, the way everybody's gotten there so far, just historically, is by being a junior person first
Right.
and by being mentored by someone else. And so the idea, well, people will just come in and we'll figure out how to have them be, you know, principal developers and own features and have this robust understanding of problem spaces that they've never seen before, because that's the earliest entry point for humans into this business. No human is going to meet that bar.
Right.
One like possible solution to this, it's not really implemented yet, but it might be the direction that like education is going, is AI is really, really good at teaching you stuff. I don't know how much you've experienced that yourself. I suspect
It
probably a
is,
little bit.
again, I'm going to say orders of magnitude a lot tonight, but orders of magnitude greater, far beyond anything that's ever taught me anything, including any teacher or anything. So it's just, it is the kind of tool, the fact that I can customize it, it's just, yeah, it's so fast and so poignant and so good at trimming fat in information, and it's just, yeah, I love it.
It turned out that's kind of the new path, is that you use the new, more powerful tools to teach you to be an expert like in a year or two instead of in 15.
Yeah.
And then you get the entry level job as what we today think of as a principal software developer. But we don't know for sure. There's a lot of like intangibles there that some people say, it's all the same. It doesn't matter. People are just people. And other people say, no, there's a judgment that comes with experience and there's no substitute for time. And so far, nobody knows. There just hasn't been enough time for us to know that yet.
But also AI is clearing up, especially in medicine. It's just crazy what's happening in medicine. But, and I mean, like China already has, from what I can understand, I can pull it up, but I think China has AI operating rooms. I'm not sure if they. Let me check that. China.
Yeah, I know at the very least, AI is doing a really, really remarkable job of like diagnosing problems, especially diagnosing problems very quickly. They use it like an ER.
We went through that and how dominant the AI systems were in a Harvard study when they were at a Boston hospital, and they were studying the diagnostic amplitude and accuracy of the AI systems versus the doctors, and the AI systems were just crushing them. So China is currently one of the most aggressive adopters of AI and robotics and operating rooms anywhere in the world. What is actually happening? AI-assisted robotic surgery is already being used at scale. So by early 2025, robotic laparoscopic systems had been used in nearly 12,000 surgeries across China. More than 800 remote surgeries were performed using 5G connected robotic systems, allowing specialists in major cities to operate on patients hundreds or even thousands of kilometers away. AI is increasingly integrated into the operating room. Modern Chinese operating rooms are using AI for surgical planning, real-time imaging analysis, instrument tracking, decision support during surgery, workflow optimization, post-operative outcome prediction. The goal is not to replace the surgeon as of right now, but to augment them with real-time data analysis and precision guidance. China is building AI native healthcare infrastructure. Researchers at Tsinghua University have developed the agent hospital concept, featuring dozens of AI physician agents across multiple specialties. While this is largely a virtual healthcare ecosystem rather than a physical operating room, it illustrates China's broader strategy of integrating AI throughout medicine. This just got me thinking, like, in Canada, we have a real problem with a lack of physicians, lack of doctors, and like taking a fucking Elon Musk robot and putting our latest greatest AI systems in there, for it to simply just be somewhere where people can, pay a token or whatever, and it's like I can take your blood, I can check your vision, I can do all of these other things, and the report will be sent directly to your physician, to your general practitioner. Like, we're doing the same in Canada right now with what's it called? Nurse practitioners. Nurse practitioners are starting to be allowed to do some of the work of a general practitioner, a doctor. So, like, fuck, like having these hubs where people can get the basics done, and like, because a lot of people are like, yeah, I've been sick for like 4 weeks or 3 weeks, and it's not going away. And it's like the AI system's like, well, I think we should do blood work. We'll do some blood work right now. Take your blood. We'll take your urine sample right now if you can produce one. And like, God, I see like how many resources could be freed up in Canada by something like this. And I know they're already doing it with like young doctors who are interns and nurse practitioners, but holy shitballs, I can see this like curing Canada's issue of not enough doctors.
Yeah, and some people would say that it's kind of like a crisis, not a crisis, but like just a general bad thing that like, oh, they'll be taking jobs from doctors, and now that job opportunity isn't available to as many people anymore. Well, there's probably some people who really want to be doctors, and hats off to them. That's a really great thing to aspire to be.
I think you might be breaking up a bit, but like I think the job loss thing, it matters because people do find a lot of meaning and purpose in their job, and
doctors anymore.
Yeah, I think there might be a bit of a delay. But
yeah, sorry, my connection's getting a little bit bad.
No worries. But yeah, I just from a well-being perspective, I just like people who all of a sudden they can go to a kiosk and have some anxiety and stress alleviated from something that's been bothering them, get a quick blood work done, sent to an analysis lab or to your doctor, and maybe you get a direct copy as well, just like when you go into Life Labs in Vancouver, or throughout Canada, they have Life Labs. I don't know if they have Life Labs in the United States, but man, that's the good stuff.
Yeah, I think information like that makes it really, really hard when people think that like, AI is going to be net negative. I think that's pretty naive. I think it would have to do a lot of harm to catch up to the good that it's capable of.
Yeah, I mean, like I see it as like there are people out there who believe right now today that the internet has been a net negative. Okay. Fair. I mean, I guess your experiences with the internet have been maybe mostly bad. Maybe you're a victim of internet bullying, and you wish the internet never existed so that you didn't have to deal with the bullying. I can understand that. But if you're trying to make a general assessment of something, we want to pull ourselves, try to look at things not just from our own perspective. Where the internet might have done us wrong. But think a little more broadly. Think about what it's done for global communication. And the example we used earlier, via the internet, doctors and surgeons from around the world being able to share in real time information with each other, vital information that when someone's life hangs in the balance, like, and this is just like one example, but yeah.
Yeah. I think probably the one negative I would say about AI that actually does have the potential to be bad enough to compete with the good is the power use. I think this is a legitimate concern that like people are saying like it's doing this dramatic increase in our contribution to climate change. And if we forecast the growth of AI the way we want to grow AI and the growth of power that it would take to run it, that this is not necessarily a problem with no solution, but it's one that we haven't figured out the solution for yet. And right now, the only solution is dump as much power as we can of every possible kind we can into it. And that's not sustainable. I think it's solvable.
Yeah, since we brought this up, I'm just going to read this into the record. So AI uses a significant amount of electricity, but the amount varies enormously depending on the model, the task, and the scale of deployment. Training an AI model, training a frontier model can consume millions of kilowatts or kilowatt hours of electricity. Examples, GPT-3 is estimated to have required roughly 1 to 1.5 I think gigawatts to train. More advanced modern models requires tens of hundreds of GWH. I think that's gigawatts gigawatt hours, right? When accounting for multiple training runs, experiments, and supporting infrastructure. For perspective, 1 gigawatt hour can power roughly 100 average U.S. homes for a year. 100 gigawatt hours can power a small city for months. Running AI interface. After training, AI continues consuming power every time people use it. A typical AI query may use simple chatbot response approximately 0.001 to 0.01 kilowatt hours. Complex reasoning or image generation, often several times higher. Large-scale services handling billions of requests per day consume enormous amounts of electricity overall. AI data centers, the biggest energy demand comes from data centers. A modern AI data center requires 100 to 500 megawatts continuously. Some next generation AI campuses are planning for 1 gigawatt or more. For comparison, 1 gigawatt is roughly the output of a large nuclear reactor. 1 gigawatt so different than gigawatt hour, but 1 gigawatt a 1 gigawatt facility running continuously uses about 8.76 TWH per year. I don't know what that means. How much of global electricity? Current estimates suggest data centers consume around 1 to 2% of global electricity, and AI is becoming a rapidly growing share of that total. Organizations such as the International Energy Agency project that AI-driven data center demand could grow substantially through the late 2020s. Is AI more efficient than humans? For many cognitive tasks, AI can be surprisingly energy efficient. A human brain uses about 20 watts continuously. An AI system may use far more energy per second, but it can perform certain calculations millions of times faster. For tasks like image classification, protein folding, or large-scale data analysis, AI often performs vastly more work per unit than humans. The concern is not the energy per task, but the sheer scale of billions of AI interactions and massive training runs.
So you said TWH, that's terawatt hours. That's 1,000 gigawatt hours.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And then the second thing I was going to say, all of this is what we're doing so far. It's probably worth mentioning like what people aspire to when you kind of hear the conversations internally at these tech companies like I work at one of, and all the conversation is all about like, how can we do 100 times more AI than we're doing right now? How can we scale this by, to use your favorite phrase today, orders of magnitude? Because people want to do order of magnitude more AI work and agentic development than they are even already today.
Yeah. And I'm looking here with regards to the energy issue. Yeah, and that makes sense that those are the goals. So better hardware efficiency. The easiest solution is simply making AI hardware more efficient. Companies like NVIDIA, AMD, and Google are continually improving performance per watt. Over the past decade, computing power per watt has improved dramatically. New AI chips can perform many times more calculations using the same electricity. Specialized AI hardware is much more efficient than general purpose CPUs. Historically, efficiency gains have often outpaced demand growth in many computing sectors. So that's something important to, if the history carries, stays true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Might have stomped on. No, I was done saying what I said.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
If I could read again.
So renewable energy, many AI data centers are being paired with solar, wind, hydraulic power, geothermal energy. Fantastic. If AI is powered by low carbon energy, the environmental impact is greatly reduced, even if electricity consumption rises. Nuclear power, many analysts view nuclear energy as one of the strongest long-term solutions. We know the advantages of that. Smarter AI models. A large amount of AI computation is wasteful. Researchers are improving model compression, quantization, distillation, sparse architectures, mixture of experts systems. These techniques can reduce computation by 10 times or even 100 times for some tasks while preserving most capabilities. And this is why, like on ChatGPT, people will see all these different kinds of GPTs to explore or internal apps that are more specialized that will lead to less waste. So yeah, that's great. The trend is toward getting more intelligence from fewer calculations. Better data center design. Modern facilities increasingly use advanced cooling, liquid cooling, heat recycling, more efficient power distribution. Some facilities even reuse waste heat for nearby buildings. Use AI to improve energy systems. AI itself may help solve energy challenges by improving electrical grid management, designing better batteries, accelerating fusion and materials research, optimizing industrial processes, reducing transportation inefficiencies. Many researchers argue that AI's indirect energy savings could eventually exceed the energy it consumes. That's very interesting. Many researchers argue, again, that AI's indirect energy savings could eventually exceed the energy it consumes. Kind of like brains in a vat. Build more
Yeah,
energy.
it's all...
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's really, really difficult to project these things out accurately. People are really, really hoping for the best, and who can blame them? But as it is, consumption is going up by orders of magnitude, and efficiency is going up not exactly by orders of magnitude, but there's also there's a little bit of magical thinking here that AI is going to be so smart that it's going to cause us to have breakthroughs that we haven't imagined yet in power generation.
Yeah, that would be fallacious to just assume that de facto.
We wouldn't want to rule it either. The truth is that nobody really knows which of these things is going to outpace which or where it's going. It's all very much uncharted territory, and I think the only real conclusions to draw from what we have so far is it's going to be interesting to find out.
Yeah, so the generalized expert consensus right now is AI electricity demand will continue to grow rapidly, but the world will almost certainly be able to supply it if energy infrastructure expands. So yeah, there needs to be an expansion of energy infrastructure. The Javin's paradox concern. Many researchers point out a classic phenomena. AI gets more efficient, AI becomes cheaper, more people use it, total energy consumption still rises. This is why experts expect AI electricity use to increase, even though AI hardware is becoming dramatically more efficient. That's
interesting. Paradox. Yeah. Javin's paradox comes up a little bit in the whether there will be jobs conversation also.
Yeah,
because
it can be applied in that it's the same set of premises, but same meaning in the premises, leading to the same kinds of conclusions. It can be applied in different ways.
Yeah, when ATMs first came out, people were really, really against them. At least some people were, because that was going to put all the bank tellers out of work. The net effect of having ATMs is that daily banking became much more accessible to everybody, and the net effect was that the number of bank teller jobs actually increased. So that's very possible that that's what could happen with software development or many of these other jobs that are going to be automated out of existence. But they might get automated to the point that demand for them skyrockets, and we need more of those things rather than less.
Right.
it's possible. That's what they would say to explain it if it happens, and then they use some different economic principle to explain it if it doesn't happen.
Now, some scenarios envision AI becoming one of the largest industrial consumers of electricity. For example, one DNV scenario estimates data centers would reach roughly 11% of global final electricity demand by 2060, with AI responsible for most of that growth. However, many experts caution that forecasts beyond 2035 are highly speculative because they depend on breakthroughs. Where the
Sam
center of
Altman's
yeah, go ahead.
Sam Altman says that he wants the distribution to be 99%, like 99% of all electricity spent on AI and 1% left to do everything else that we do.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, but weirdly, AI is going to be intertwined into everything, just like the internet, and again, more so, orders of magnitude more, I believe. So it's like, kind of in a way, it's going to be like that. Like it's hard to imagine where, mechanics aren't implementing AI, bricklayers aren't implementing AI. Like it's hard to imagine that. So, I mean, does anyone else want to weigh in? By the way, we're kind of hogging the mic here, but I got on that epistemic train.
I do. There's a really cool video that I saw about this couple. They started a company about improving, I think it's like jet engines. And basically they designed an AI model that will constantly output better engine design based on their previous prototypes.
Yeah.
They actually build and test. So they actually
that's cool.
make molds. Yeah, they make molds and they produce the engines and then they test them to see like how much basically energy can be converted to momentum and like all that physics stuff. But basically they're looking for a way to maximize efficiency and power to the engine by making one solid I think it's like an injector piece. And so every time they test it, they run the results by the AI and it produces a new mold based on the new data. And so they keep on improving it.
So they're keeping the optimization process going by way of kind of like trial and error with the molding is following that as they're building the engine.
Yeah, and they're also playing with the different materials and like the alloys that are used.
Right.
The AI is not only telling them like a new shape to make, but also what kind of alloys to how to prepare the alloy better. And they have a whole video about this. It's a couple that just started doing that. And
this is Josephine
really awesome.
Lisner and Lynn Kaser.
Yes.
Yeah. I have it here. You may be thinking of the founder of Leap 71. It's called a Dubai-based engineering company whose co-founders, they became well known for using a physics-based AI system called Neuron. Okay, I'm going to want to look into this. This is really cool. To autonomously design rocket engines and small jet engine components that can be manufactured with metal 3D printing. If you're referring to married couple who improved their AI generated or spares. More broadly, AI is being GE Aerospace for generative AI is now being used for GE Aerospace for generative design of advanced jet and ramjet engines. Oh, okay, cool. There are other companies doing it too. Rolls-Royce and the Alan Turing Institute collaboration to accelerate engine design and improve fuel efficiency. Major aerospace companies for predictive maintenance, fault detection, and engine optimization. That's, this is cool. Them as a co-founders rather than emphasizing their relationship. Their AI-generated designs have produced working aerospace hardware that was successfully manufactured and tested, dramatically reducing design time from months to weeks. Yeah, the speed at which like AI mixed with even better and better 3D printing systems. Some of the 3D printing systems, by the way, now are fucking insane.
Yeah,
but
which is like
yeah,
why it's so amazing is because like before that they would have to like manually make molds. They would have to do their own calculation, but now they can
yeah.
just quickly print it, and then they have sensors and cameras surrounding the test site, so they get a lot of data right back into the AI.
That is one of the best things that I love so much about these AI systems with regards to people's well-being is that it is removing a lot of barrier to entry. A lot of people have never been able to do something like this, or like write their own book by way of a ghostwriter, for example, like how famous people do. They'll use a ghostwriter to write their books often. There's a barrier to entry that only the super wealthy can afford to hire, like the mathematicians required to do these calculations that the AI can do basically instantly for this couple. All of the other things that the slack that the AI is picking up, that monetarily, it all of a sudden that monetary barrier to entry to be able to do something, to be able to create something, is now gone for people. Like people, like for me personally, like having a staff of AI working for me, hunting venues, figuring out interesting combinations of speaking talent and getting their contact info, getting a hold of their agents and stuff like that. Like the me being able to compete against the larger live event promoters, I can only do that if I have systems like this. Like I can't afford to have a staff of, 10 working full time. But yeah, I like this story because I
Another
think
cool
it shows
thing that
yeah.
you will see in those engines is that they look more and more organic.
Oh yeah.
Like they start to look more like an interior of a creature. They get
That's
so
cool.
complex
Yeah.
that some of the designs, they're going from like kind of like simple to like more curves, because it's
Right.
about timing, right? So they have to
Yeah.
time how the fuels mix, and so the shape itself becomes more and more complex and organic, which is something that would take a human maybe, I don't know, years to
Oh
develop.
yeah. Yeah, these kinds of like what we're talking about there is novel invention. What you just described. The process of invention, how people come to invent things, like, peering out into nature and watching, how a bird soars. It's like, okay, how is that seagull, just like hanging out in the air there? Well, there's wind resist. It's using the wind resistance of its wings to hold itself up. So there's a strong force there. How do we graft that onto our own design of a flying machine? Like this is the way invention works, and that, what the AI system is doing, the trial and error, the mold. You can imagine like a carpenter trying to make the perfect rocking chair, and
Yeah.
they have piles and piles of failed rocking chairs, and they're just trying to get that angle right. They're trying to get the weight right. But
I think a possible
yeah.
future job, I mean, it's not future, it's now, is facilitating proper data entry for the AI
Yes,
to learn from, like
that
to
is.
properly set up the sensors, to properly convert raw data into information that AI can understand and process. That's gonna be the
Yeah.
like a really important job for the future, like the economy of sensors and
The philosophy.
facilitated
Yeah.
learning.
Yeah, the philosophy of prompting. It's a new domain. Like there's the art of prompting. There is the ethics of prompting. What are some things that are wrong and bad to prompt? What are wrong and bad ways to prompt? Well, there are
speaking in a bias or something.
Yeah, like exactly, why is that wrong? Well, it's wrong because you're building a machine that could be responsible for carrying even just the people who are testing it, carrying people, propelling people through the air, and they almost certainly will die if you're trying to just make some bias a reality. You know what that reminds me of is, remember the horrible tragedy of the submarine heading down to view the Titanic.
Oh yeah.
And it was made out of carbon fiber. I did a really deep dive into that, and all of the other experts were saying you can't make that fucking thing out of carbon fiber. It's going to be slowly pulled apart, and then eventually will fail. And of course, this is what was happening. And it miraculously survived, I think it was 2 expeditions, but they were hearing this horrible sound, this popping and tearing and stretching sound through those 2 expeditions. And then I think it was the 3rd one where everything fucking imploded. But yeah, like thinking of the ethics of
mad respect for divers and space and astronauts. That stuff's so scary. Pressure is one of the scariest things to face.
People think it's
pressurization.
People think it's a lot of pressure being in a debate. Try going down in a submarine or up into space and experience that pressure.
Yeah, actually, I was looking into canned fish recipe, because it's something that Russians do, and I wanted to see if I can replicate it here. And so I use AI to kind of coach me through it, because it could be hazardous if it's not done right.
Right.
Like a like a long storage of fish can be very dangerous. And something I didn't know that the AI brought up, and it was very adamant about it, was the altitude. The altitude you're in matters a lot in the kind of pressurization that you have to apply on a can, which I had no idea about.
Huh.
And
that's
so,
that's to make sure that the preservation works.
Yes, because the amount of pressure to close the lid of a jar has a lot to do with the current altitude you are living in. And so the preservation of a specific food can also be affected by where in the world you are, what altitude. And I had no idea about that. I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Just give me a recipe and I'm gonna cook it and store it. Turns out it's not that simple. So that's one of those things where I think that AI really helped me kind of avoid a possible dangerous scenario, because I think if I were to just look for a recipe, I would have found it in 10 minutes. But I don't think it would have gone to depth into the importance of pressure. So that's something that a personal example.
Yeah, if you don't get the pressure right, I don't think you're going to like the fish much. Or when you
probably not going to like me much.
When you open that can, it might be toxic waste, chemical warfare at that point.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to wrap up the stream. Thanks, Anka. Thanks, everyone who chimed in today. It's a fun topic. I'm very, very passionate about this because I just like the internet, I see so much good that can be done by way of your physical, mental, and social health if we use these tools properly. the tools can of course be used improperly, irrationally to your purposes in ways that you don't know are harming yourself or causing you detriments to your health. So it's important, I think, to have these conversations and try to sort out what is going on in reality with regards to these systems, and then also, engaging in the competing notions of the good with regards to what we should be doing with these systems. But thanks to everyone. Thanks to Adam for weighing in. That was cool to have someone who's kind of connected in the industry, and everyone else. And we'll catch you again tomorrow. Make sure you're out there maximizing well-being for yourself and those